friends, welcome to a brand new season of football here on the all-new Hornet Nation broadcast. I'm Rob Hipp, Sports Director with KSAM 1017, and joined by Brian Adams. We're excited to bring you Huntsville Hornet football all season long. And, Brian, something very exciting this year. We're going to have video this year, and so we're just working out a few kinks here on this opening scrimmage. Then, of course, next week we will start with radio call as well and video. Brian, I'm excited, man. It has been so long. It feels like we've been in this doldrum of no broadcasting, and here we are finally tonight in Lufkin, Texas for this scrimmage. Going to be a fun night, Brian.
It's going to be great. And, you know, I say this every year. This is my favorite time of year. The season's kind of starting to change. It's going to get a little bit cooler, and it's football time. There is nothing better than that. You know, for me, I love it. The Huntsville Hornets are an exciting team. They've had such a great run the last several years. It's going to be a great scrimmage tonight against Lufkin. Looking forward to seeing what happens.
Well, tonight we've got a very wonderful crew that is here helping us out, and a lot of guys volunteering, helping, coming in. And, Brian, that's what it takes to make all of this work. This wouldn't be possible without KSAM. This wouldn't be possible without the volunteers, and it wouldn't be possible without the sponsors this year. You're going to hear from all of those sponsors starting next week. A lot of folks have worked very hard to bring this production. The scrimmage starting to get underway here. It's not going to be a traditional broadcast. So I just wanted to make that clear with everyone out there. Not a traditional broadcast. You're not going to hear play-by-play. It's more of a conversational broadcast tonight to introduce everybody to what's going on. But set, Brian, for a good one. And, you know, you've been able to watch these Hornets for many years. What is some of your takeaways from last year, Brian?
Well, some of the takeaways that I've gotten is this team is really starting to kind of find its groove. And they've got a lot of these athletes who have stepped up and done a great job. They've experienced playoff atmosphere. And these guys have a lot of potential this year. Coach Southern, I know, talking to him a little bit, he's excited. A.J. Wilson is stepping in as the new quarterback after Matthew Southern graduating last year. A.J. Wilson's exciting. He's a young guy. He played a couple of games as a sophomore, pulled out some victories to help the Hornets get into the playoffs. He is talented. He is going to be fun to watch.
Well, there's some action on the field right now, and we'll go ahead and just start looking at some of this down there. Nathan, you can switch down to that first camera down on the field, and we've got some action already underway. We're also got down on the field tonight T.J. Garrett joining us alongside of Josh Criswell with the Huntsville Item. T.J., how are things looking down there on the field? And first of all, can you hear us down there tonight?
Hey, Rob, this is Josh Criswell.
Oh, Josh, okay, gotcha.
I'm on the other side of the field trying to track down Coach at the moment.
So we should have an interview with head coach Rodney Southern here before too long. Brian, we talked about a team in the Huntsville Hornets that 30-plus seniors, they're gone, and now having to kind of rebuild. One starter basically on the offense returning. A couple of wide receivers that were there last year. But you talked about A.J. earlier. Now as the junior quarterback. We're going to see something special this season. And Coach Southern, we've talked to him throughout the season. Of course, as things get moving along, we're going to know a lot more. We'll get a lot more information, a lot more in depth. Even tonight, we don't even have rosters, and that's nothing with the school. It's just, quite frankly, in some of these scrimmages, they change up the numbers because, you know, they don't want people to know who's going to be out there making the plays.
Exactly. You know, I'm just excited, Rob, we have football. And albeit a month late, it is great to have it going on. But you're right. Losing 30 seniors is that's quite a challenge to overcome. But, you know, with the good thing with the Hornets and with Coach Southern being the head coach here at Huntsville, he's able to get a lot of these really outstanding athletes to come out and be a part of the program. And not just part of the program, part of a winning program. So they have a lot of talent. I think the one thing that may be a question mark, and it may not be, but I think your O-line. That is one of the things he's talked about this year, is making sure that he has depth at the O-line. I think he has a lot of team speed. He has a lot of talent in the skill positions. Ought to be a fun thing to watch.
Well, and tonight, you know, playing a Lufkin team here in a scrimmage. Lufkin, of course, is 6A. We wanted to start off right off the bat and say thank you to the hospitality here in Lufkin. Everyone has been wonderful. Of course, we're remaining socially distant as much as we can as far as our crew. We've all been around each other for a while, so we're okay. But as far as other folks, they've got us set aside nicely. And the hospitality here has just been great. We couldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for Lufkin, so a special thank you to the friends here in Lufkin, Texas tonight, allowing us to be here.
No question about it. And the neat thing with Lufkin is Coach Southern put this together with Lufkin several years ago as a preseason game. And Lufkin has typically always had a very strong powerhouse-type team, and it's always been kind of a challenge for the Huntsville Hornets. And that's what you want going into the season. You want to see where you stand. You want to see where everybody is at that point in time, because Lufkin is a tough ball club, and that's going to be a great test for Huntsville. Get them ready for the open season coming up next week.
You know, it's crazy if we think about it here, Brian, because even as close as a month ago, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know were we going to have high school football, and then the UIL made that decision to allow the lower classes, the 4A, the 3A, 2A, 6A. It allowed those guys to get out there and play. And so far for the first month, we're seeing a big catch there, and flags were thrown, trying to air one out down there for Lufkin, and good defensive coverage. That's something I'm excited about as well. Seeing these defensive backs this season for Huntsville, that's going to be a lot of fun watching these young men.
Oh, and these guys have some speed that's just incredible. And really they've done a great job. And, it's been such a weird year, like you said earlier. These guys started practice, they had to stop, and they started again with their summer workouts. But the one thing Coach Southern was talking about was the defensive backs and their team speed. Those guys are fast, and they will put a hit on you. So it's going to be fun to watch, see how aggressive they are tonight with some of these wideouts and their speed. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Brian, Josh Criswell and I have had an opportunity over the past few weeks, and in fact now 7 episodes into it, to start Huntsville Sports Weekly. And that is a little thing that we're excited to get going. And go back to 2 there, Nathan. And that's something that we're excited to get going and continue that. And we'll bring Josh up here or Josh on the mic here in just a few seconds. But we're excited about that. We're trying to bring a whole new level and dynamic to Huntsville ISD and rebranding and bringing what we're calling the Huntsville Hornet Nation Broadcast Network, and excited about that. And so, a special thanks to Coach Southern and to Lisa and all the folks at HISD who are helping to make this possible. Couldn't do it without the school. And, it's one of those things. I know I'm kind of spinning my wheels here, Brian, and I'm talking about the UIL making that decision to go ahead and play football. And it's worked very well for the lower classifications. Now 5A and 6A, a lot of them getting in the scrimmages tonight. And then, of course, next week starting their season.
Yeah, no question about it. And it was a big decision by the UIL to do this, and I'm certainly glad they did, because football is such an important sport for all of high school, college, and everything else. And it's for these kids. I mean, this is such a great team sport, and so many things go into it, so much support from so many different people. It brings people together. And as far as your podcast goes, I was fortunate enough to be on your second week of your podcast, and Huntsville is a town that loves its sports. There's no question about it, and football in particular. But I'm glad you and Josh are doing that. It's a lot of fun talking about all the different sports going on. But I'm certainly glad the decision was made to start football, even though, again, a month late. But nonetheless, they got it going on.
Well, we've got Josh down on the field. Josh, can you hear us down there tonight?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. How am I sounding?
Sounding great, Josh. Well, thanks for being down there, man. We were talking about Huntsville Sports Weekly, and first and foremost, thanks for all that you do in the Huntsville community, Josh. It's been a true privilege and blessing to work with you now for the second year and my first year here with the Huntsville Hornets. But, Josh, this team, we've talked about it on the podcast, on Huntsville Sports Weekly, a team that in a way is rebuilding, but a lot of talent this year for the Huntsville Hornets.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of talent. I mean, you lose over 30 seniors, so there's going to be a little bit of rebuilding, but I kind of prefer to call it reloading. You got a ton of talent coming back. You talk about just the returners first off, and that defensive line, you got 4 key contributors coming back in the Bobino brothers, Quaterian Riles, and Sebastian Patterson, already making some plays out here early on in the backfield. But, I think Brian talked about it earlier today, but, man, I am excited to see what A.J. Wilson can do today. He's a guy who was 2-0 last year in his 2 starts, helped get the Hornets to the playoffs. Now he's coming in facing really his first good defense that he's faced at the varsity level. And Lufkin's not just good, they're elite. They're, in my opinion, one of the top 10 teams in the state in all of 5A. And, I mean, they're definitely putting a test to the Hornets early on tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to, throughout this broadcast, we'll have some interviews here. Again, I just want to remind friends, this isn't going to be how every broadcast is. This is just a scrimmage tonight. We don't have a lot of information. Kids are wearing different numbers sometimes on both sides, and so more it's just a visual element of you being able to see what happens. Now, when we go next week, you're going to see a lot of our sponsors. You're going to see a replay system. You're going to see a scoreboard. You're going to see a lot of really cool elements that we're going to add to the video that really helps to bring a lot of value to this program, these kids, and, of course, those that are helping to make this happen. So just wanted to let people know tonight this is not what you're going to expect next week. It's going to be even more, and Brian, excited to bring it.
Oh, well, it's going to be just great with the technology and the video and the radio and everything else, and being able to bring the fans different angles of video. It's going to be exciting. I know this is something Coach Southern had been wanting to do for a long time, and you were able to bring it together and put this in action, and it's going to be so much fun, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Friends, if you're out there on the YouTube stream tonight, and of course next week we'll start broadcasting games over 101.7 FM here in Huntsville. If you're on the YouTube stream tonight, you'd like to say hello and kind of let us know your thoughts on the season, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to type in a chat there. If you're on the app, you can leave a chat message, and we would love to hear from you tonight and what you're looking forward to most here with this Huntsville Hornet team. Brian, for now, though, we're just going to step aside for a minute. We'll let the folks out there enjoy the video. You'll see some of the game. We'll put on a little bit of background music. We'll step aside for about 2 minutes. When we come back, we'll talk more about Huntsville Hornet football right here on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. We'll be right back in a few moments. All right, friends, Rob Hipp here, joined by Brian Adams, back live from Lufkin, Texas. Thanks for joining us tonight for Lufkin versus Huntsville here in Lufkin, of course. And we're just a scrimmage tonight, Brian. You know, Josh and I talked on the Huntsville Sports Weekly podcast just a few days ago, and I wanted to be careful about this because I said, you know, you don't see a heck of a lot in a scrimmage. You do, actually, and there's some things tonight that we're going to see. Coaches are down there making decisions about what's going to come up versus Nederland. This is a team, though, tonight in a scrimmage, and this is what I love seeing. A team in Lufkin that is ranked, I believe, number 11 in the state of Texas, a 6A school. It's so important to get out there, get that scrimmage going, and play against a powerhouse such as Lufkin.
Oh, no question about it. And when you have an opponent like Lufkin, who is traditionally a powerhouse and especially top-ranked in 6A, it is a good challenge to start your season with. And Coach Southern is certainly not going to go through his whole playbook. obviously, but he is looking at some positions and some players, A.J. Wilson in particular, and some of his wideouts. And I know they've got a couple of new offensive line coaches, so they are keeping an eye on the O-line and making sure they're hitting all their blocks and assignments and things like that. But I tell you what, Rob, this Huntsville Hornet team this year, I think, is going to be as good or better than they've been the last couple of years, just because some of the talent they have in skill positions. It's unbelievable.
Well, we talk about the skill positions. We don't want to leave out the defense either and what they do in the secondary. And we're talking about guys like Edward Bobino that's already got some Division I scholarship offers. This young man is senior this year and, of course, named the Item Insider preseason defensive player of the year, the defensive tackle, and what he's going to do. We talk about the secondary. We talk about other guys at the tackle position. You saw him a lot last year on that defensive side. This is a young man that is only going to continue to get better. He's got a bright future ahead of him, as all of these kids do, but especially Bobino. I'm excited to see him out there at the defensive tackle position.
Well, Ed Bobino and his brother, they have both done an amazing job, and these guys are big. But not only are they big, they're athletic. And that's why they got so many D1 offers looking at Ed, because he is so talented. And those guys are going to give quarterbacks and offenses fits this year. And they are that talented. But you're right, that secondary is so fast. They typically run cover 2 and zone defenses, and that allows them to make the quarterback make decisions. Hopefully, Ed Bobino, his brother, and those other guys on the defensive line can get to that quarterback, rush him. And so, boy, the Huntsville Hornets are going to have a great defense this year.
Well, the Louisiana Monroe commit, excited to see what he's going to do this season, continuing now as a senior, and that's what we talked about. This year it's Be the Standard. You'll see the hashtag BTS across social media. If you haven't had a chance, go to hornetnation.org. Lisa and the staff there with the athletics, they do such a great job. That is one of, in my opinion, I'm not just saying it, Brian, to be biased, because we're broadcasting, being a part of Huntsville, being here, but if you go to hornetnation.org, simply an awesome website covering all of the athletics that goes on throughout Huntsville ISD.
Oh, no question about it. And your podcast yesterday, the volleyball coach and assistant athletic director talking about the young ladies and their sports. I mean, that is such a neat thing, that podcast, bringing in all the sports in Huntsville, including Sam Houston State University and all their sports, and having Coach Southern in. And it's just a lot of fun. This community loves their sports, and there's a lot of support. And it takes a lot of support to make this kind of broadcast take place. And you talked about the sponsors. Again, I personally would like to thank the sponsors for all their help and assistance to make this all work.
Well, a new look Hornets, as we came on earlier, those of you just joining us, thanks for joining us here on the new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network right here, and we'll have it on KSAM 101.7 or 101.7 KSAM starting next week. But a team that you lose 30 seniors, but coming back with a lot of power behind them. This is a team, Brian, as you know, 21 wins, including 5 playoff victories over the past 2 seasons. This Huntsville Hornets football team and these young men and what Coach Southern has been able to do has really placed Huntsville right there at the top of 5A Division II. And we'll see starting things at Nederland and those as games go on. And, boy, what a pass right there and a catch on that left side.
Yeah, that was a great pass there by A.J. Wilson. Led him just right. Ball fell right into his hands. The receiver had his man beat. Great catch.
We're hoping to see more of that as the season gets underway here, of course.
No question about it.
Well, last year, we'll quickly glance at kind of what happened last year. And, Brian, you were at those games, most of them. I know that you and I were on the road with Sam Houston State, and so there were some games, of course, you weren't at, but most of them you were. I got to commend you, man, because you're out here broadcasting the Huntsville Hornets last year and then joining us on Saturdays for a majority. You joined us for all of the Sam Houston games, but you were almost at every single Huntsville game as well, man. So thank you for all the work you do, my friend.
It's my pleasure. I enjoy it, and, it kind of brings me back. It allows me to be a part of a game I love so much and to watch my old high school do so well. Huntsville has a reputation of being a powerhouse. When anybody in the state of Texas hears about Huntsville, they think of a strong football team. And that's because they have great athletes, they have great support, and always had great coaches. And when Coach Southern came in 6 years ago, the program was not doing as good as it has done in the past, or it's up to its potential. He has turned this ship around completely, and he's got them deep into the playoffs 2 years ago. For the first time in almost 30 years, Huntsville went that deep. Coach Southern is a great football coach. his team, his players have bought into his system, and the results are starting to show.
Well, last year they started things on a 2-0 streak, defeating Willis 55-22. Of course, we started a lot earlier back on August the 30th. There was no COVID then, and then notched that convincing victory over Willis. By the way, moving up to 6A, we'll face Willis again this season.
Yeah.
And then on just a week later, there on September the 6th, a 27-10 victory over Port Neches Groves, a very historic program, of course, here in the state of Texas. Then Huntsville goes on a 2-game skid, dropping contest versus College Station and A&M Consolidated. Those, honestly, fairly close contest. It was a 13-29 loss at College Station, and dropped that other game at A&M Consolidated 24-14, but then rolled Cleveland 65-0. A complete shutout in that one, Brian.
Yeah, that kind of stopped the bleeding a little bit when Cleveland came into town. Huntsville really manhandled them, and it got their season back on track through the rest of district going into the playoffs. Huntsville. They hit a couple of losses against A&M last year and Consolidated there. And I remember I think it was Consolidated there at College Station. Man, the weather was horrible, and it was overcast and it was cold. It was just miserable, kind of perfect football weather, really. But that was a tough loss. But Huntsville bounced back, and that's the sign of a good team that can overcome adversity and get the ship righted after a couple of defeats, and Huntsville did, and had a good showing in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it started a 3-game winning streak with that rolling of Cleveland, and then Montgomery. And look, the Montgomery game, we won't get into that, but of course that game was a forfeit. So you get the win because Montgomery had to forfeit that game. So Huntsville, they get the W on that one just by the default of how that works. But then Lamar Consolidated, another victory to make it 3-0, 35-21. One more loss versus Katy, 25-14, and then an impressive 4-game winning streak before dropping that final contest at Fort Bend Marshall. They go through Lake Creek, and that was another shutout, 27-0. Bryan Rudder, 38-14. Marshall was 35-12, and then a high-scoring affair, just one of those barn burners versus Crosby, 54-44 before that 28-14 loss to end the season before playoffs versus Fort Bend Marshall.
Yeah, that Fort Bend Marshall loss was difficult because Huntsville really had an opportunity, I think, to get a victory out of that game, but unfortunately it did not work out that way, and it ended Huntsville's season. So then you lose all those seniors that we just talked about, but. I tell you what, the Huntsville's got the talent, and they got the speed, they got the coaches, and they got the attitude. And you got to have the attitude in high school, in any kind of football at whatever level you are, kind of that swagger. Huntsville has that, and I think we're going to see that all year long.
You just saw there on your video screen, if you're watching, of course, Lufkin taking that one all the way to the house with a touchdown just a few moments ago here in this scrimmage, preseason, if you will, and that's good to see that in a way, and I'm saying that because you get an eye on your secondary, you get an eye on your defense. What can they do? Can they keep up with a talented, fast team such as Lufkin? And right there, Lufkin simply able to run it all the way in, and that was a nice run there just a few moments ago.
Well, I mean, it's this is preseason, the scrimmage game, so this doesn't have a whole lot of validity to the rest of the year, but it does allow the coaches to see where everybody's at currently, and it kind of knocks the rust off. These kids take a few hits, give a few hits, kind of get into the game and things like that. So, what a great opponent to have, and it's nice to have Lufkin the last several years to start out the season against, and because that's always a good test for Huntsville.
Josh Criswell back down the sidelines, the sports editor with the Huntsville Item. Just a few moments ago you saw Lufkin break away for that touchdown run, Josh, and as I said, it's good to see that down there as far as coaches are concerned in a way because you get to get a good eye on your defense.
No, absolutely, and I mean, this is what tonight is meant for. Tonight is meant for shoring up those holes and just finding the way to root out any of those inconsistencies. But aside from that Lufkin touchdown just now, the thing I mentioned when you had me on just a few minutes ago was how is A.J. Wilson going to perform in his first game against a really good defense at the varsity level. And we saw something really promising on that last Huntsville drive. Hit Jordan Woodbury for about a 40-yard pass down the sideline, an absolute gem of a throw, and actually an even better catch from Woodbury. So a lot to be excited about, offense and defense still kind of getting it together, for the Hornets, but you got to remember that this is one of the best teams in a higher classification. And, I mean, it's going to be a battle all night. But we saw this a little bit the last couple times they played. And once the Hornets get their feet under them, they've been dangerous. I think they actually might have shut out Lufkin here 2 years ago. So, let's see how that progresses. I think they might go to some live quarter action at the end of it. They're doing some scripted series. So I'm excited to see how they go whenever the clock gets rolling.
Hey, Josh, it's Brian, and you talk about A.J. Wilson. He's a junior this year, but as a sophomore, he played quite a bit, and he was able to get a couple of Hornet victories to help propel them into the playoffs. So what do you think? This kid is a junior, but yet he's playing like he may be a senior.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know how much of a drop-off, if any, there is going to be at the quarterback position, which is pretty tough to say considering you lose a guy in Matthew Southern who was the district's offensive MVP just 2 years ago as a junior. So, I mean, a lot you like to see there. And, the thing about AJ is just his athleticism is through the roof. In my opinion, since I got to Huntsville, he's up there with with Jalen Griffin as the best, most talented skill athletes, I've seen at this school. So I think there's a lot of potential there. A guy who is the newcomer of the year in basketball as a sophomore this past season, does it on the track. And, I mean, as we're seeing here early on, he's a weapon. There's been some breakdowns early on, but he's been able to get out of the pocket, use his legs. And, I mean, like you said, it looks like we're seeing a senior quarterback out there. And one of the things that Huntsville head coach Rodney Southern has kind of just continued to message to me throughout the summer and, the early stages of the fall. And AJ is one of the guys that was there every single day throughout summer workouts, and he's a guy that the kids gravitate to, which, you as a former quarterback, I'm sure that you can relate to that.
Well, and that's his leadership qualities standing out, and that's what he is. He is the leader of this team. You talk about the graduation of Matthew Southern. He broke so many records and had so many wonderful games and passed for so many yardage, and now AJ steps into his shoes, and you're not going to miss a beat. AJ is so talented. Not only does he have such a strong arm, but he also has the wheels to get him out of trouble, and boy, he is going to be exciting to watch.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a different offense. Like, I don't know if you're going to say a better or worse. It's just going to be different, just by the sheer factor that probably your best athlete at the high school is now at the quarterback position. So, I mean, that opens up all kinds of opportunities, and I expect the Hornets to do a lot of things on the move, a lot of utilizing that speed to their ability, because you can't forget about those talented guys that they have at running back, at receiver. Justin Butcher, a guy who AJ's been throwing to since the 7th grade. He's been on varsity since he was a freshman. So while he might not have been the go-to guy these past 2 seasons, he's no stranger to the big stage. And him and Jordan Woodbury, really they're 2 top returners on offense. Both of them, giving us things to be excited about early on.
Well, we continue to see the action here. Josh Criswell joining us down on the sidelines, and appreciate you, Josh. And we're looking forward to chiming in with you throughout the season when you can. So thanks for being down here tonight. Again, pick up the latest copy of the Huntsville Item newspaper. You can also pick up the Item Insider. Just go down there to the Huntsville Item, pick up that magazine. Josh does great work. And, Josh, I did want to bring you back in just for a couple of other things here. We've got 3 big games that are really on the radar this year, going through and just taking some of your notes as well and looking through your notes. And I couldn't agree more. Looking at Contest versus C.E. King coming up on October the 16th. We'll be at Brian Rudder on the 23rd, and then that home game at versus A&M Consolidated on October the 30th. Those are 3 games that we're definitely going to keep an eye on this season.
Oh, absolutely. That CE Key game and really all of those preseason games are going to be really good ones to watch this year. Nederland, a perennial playoff team in 5A, and then 3 6A teams on the docket before you even get to district action. And, once you get to district action, it's really front-loaded. You got Brian Rudder, I think, in week 1, and A&M Consolidated right after that. Brian Rudder, I think, is the sleeper in the district. Never been to the playoffs before, but I really think that's going to change this year. Rudder has probably the most seasoned quarterback in the district coming back in E.J. Izar, and then they also have perhaps the league's best playmaker in Keithron Lee, a guy I believe who was formerly committed to UTSA, recently decommitted, and I mean, he is just absolutely electric, whether they got him at receiver, running back, defense, wherever you got him, he's making plays out there on the field. And then, of course, A&M Consolidated, number 5 in the state. And, for the past 2 or 3 years, really that Huntsville A&M Consolidated game is what kind of tips the district schedule and kind of determines who's going to be that front runner to win the league.
Josh, I'm enjoying seeing some of these other young men get the snaps out here. And again, we don't have a roster to start here with the scrimmage, and so I know you're down there and recognize some of those kiddos. And we're seeing different young men get snaps. We're seeing a lot of good plays out here early. It seems like Huntsville, when some of these guys are getting their hands on the ball, they're having a very hard time being brought down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the guy that you're talking about is, who I mentioned, who AJ hit on that deep ball, and that's Jordan Woodbury, really seasoned guy coming back. And you saw him right there on that swing pass just a few moments ago. He made 2 or 3 guys miss and, really fought his way to a first down right there. Not to mention another big play just a few moments earlier. So, really like what I see, from these Hornet new faces that are, maybe new to some people outside of the program, but for those in the program, these guys are nothing new, and these are guys that, like Huntsville head coach Rodney Southern has said, they may not have that experience, but talent is not going to be an issue with this team.
Absolutely not. Well, we'll step aside. We're going to take another 2-minute break or so. When we come back, we'll talk more about this scrimmage as well as the upcoming Hornet football season. I'm Rob Hipp, Brian Adams, Josh Criswell joining us down on the field. We'll step aside for just a few moments. This is the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network on 101.7 KSAM. We'll be back in just a few moments. All right, friends, welcome back here to the Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. I'm Rob Hipp alongside my good friend Brian Adams. Excited to bring you another great season of Huntsville Hornet football here on 101.7 KSAM and the Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. Brian, just a scrimmage here today as we are live in Lufkin, Texas. Again, want to appreciate the stay that we appreciate and the hospitality here in Lufkin. It has been a fun evening so far, and we're just excited. You know, it's been a while, Brian. You and I were looking forward to getting back on the microphone for college football. Of course, that didn't pan out this season. Hopefully that'll be coming back in the spring. But for now, we've got high school football, and we've really just excited, man. You know, it's almost at a loss for words to say here we are, football, finally. It took a while, but we're here, Brian.
Oh, finally. That's the key word because, you wait so long after your last game of last season, and you look forward to the next season, and then it gets delayed a month. But we're finally here, and I know these kids, and I'm so grateful for these kids and happy for them because they put in the effort, and they weren't certain there was going to be a season. Then the UIL came through, and now there's going to be a season, and we're out here for our very first contact scrimmage of the year, and two great teams in Lufkin and Huntsville. And it just this is, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, Rob, this is my favorite time of year for this particular reason, getting to watch football.
Well, we've got a lot of friends down there, of course, helping us to make this possible tonight. A lot of friends that are going to be joining us throughout the entire season. And I just wanted to acknowledge those guys real quick, Brian, if we can. Of course, you appreciate all that you do. I wanted to give a shout-out to Melton Green, who's going to be helping us with camera operations. He's already here tonight helping. TJ Garrett. We'll talk to TJ here in just a few moments, actually. He's down there operating sideline camera. Of course, Nathan Height, new here to Huntsville, helping out, or new here on the weekends, coming in to help me out. He's been my longtime right arm, basically, in broadcasting back in the hometown that I grew up in. And Nathan here making the trip to Huntsville on the weekends and our away games to be part of the production. Appreciate you and just everyone at KSAM and all the folks that are making this possible, and of course our sponsors that you're going to hear more from next week. You're going to start hearing about the wonderful companies who are helping to make this production possible because, Brian, you know, when it's just you and I and it's an audio broadcast, it's just you and I. It's easy. We show up, we open up a box, we're on the air. But when you bring video, you've got to have folks there to help out, and we couldn't do it without those folks. And one of those down there is Mr. TJ Garrett. TJ, can you hear us down the sidelines?
Yes, I can hear you all clear, Rob.
Hey, so TJ, man, you're the man behind one of the cameras, and you're going to be helping us out a lot this season, and appreciate you. But, you know, you've been in the Huntsville community for some time. You know, what are your thoughts on this football team and just how exciting Huntsville Hornet football has been over the past few years?
Yes, Huntsville, the football program it's been at the bottom, and then it's came up because Southern had tried to turn the program around pretty good. But I feel like his focus right now is on the defense, on trying to get a push with the defense.
Absolutely. And, you know, you're going to school. Where are you going to school at, TJ?
I'm going to D Texas Southern in Houston, Texas.
Awesome, man. And you're studying, is it filmography, journalism?
No, sir, radio, television, and film.
Radio? Okay, there you go.
RTF.
Radio, television, and film. Cool, man. Well, TJ, we're looking forward to having you this season. I just wanted to give you a shout-out, and thanks for all you're doing tonight, young man. It's
sir,
great to have
pleasure.
you on the team. Well, Brian, we're seeing some more here of this Lufkin scrimmage, and, you know, here before too long, we should see some quarter action going. We're just seeing a lot of just at-the-line plays right now, but as we go throughout the night, we're going to see a little bit more of more of structure in this scrimmage, if you will.
Yeah, and towards the end of their scrimmage, I think they're going to go ahead and let them go live with field situations, let them try to punch it in the end zone, kick field goals, extra points, whatever. And that's kind of been the pattern with Lufkin and Huntsville over these last several years. And, again, I can't say how excited I am to see these two teams out here for the very first time this year, getting to put the pads on, getting to compete, and what a great night.
You know, where we're set up here, we're in a press box, but all of our camera stuff, of course, down on the field. We've got guys in front of us, and so every once in a while you're going to see some fans walking in front of the camera. That's just what we had to do tonight. That's okay because we're in a good spot. We got a little bit of air conditioning up here, but it is a beautiful night outside tonight, Brian.
It is a beautiful night. And, again, the seasons are starting to change. The sun's going to go down a little bit earlier. It's going to start cooling off a little bit, and it's just perfect football weather.
Yeah, and we had a drive in here. It's only about an hour and a half. It's not too bad of a drive coming down here from Huntsville, and we actually rolled in pretty early, got set up, and just the excitement, even in a scrimmage, Josh, a lot of excitement going on here, even during the scrimmage.
Well, it is a lot of excitement, and I want to thank the nice folks here at Lufkin for giving us such a warm welcome and showing us all the hospitality, helping us get organized and get situated here in the booth. And this is just the best time of year going. And I don't want to keep repeating this, but I'm just so glad the UIL decided to go ahead and allow high school football because this is I can't say this enough. It is necessary. It is important for these young men and all the support staff and coaching and family and friends and everybody to get out, enjoy a good football game, and be competitive.
Josh is back down on the sideline. Josh, what is and there's a deep pass down. Boy, was that a one-handed grab?
That was just an interception. I got to track down who that was,
wow.
But number 7 just hauled in what could have been a touchdown pass for Lufkin. He hauled that one in right at the goal line. That was probably one of the best plays I've seen all night long. I mean, we got to find out who that kid is and get our hands on the new official roster, because that was a beautiful interception.
Yeah,
right
it was
there.
a one-handed grab. It looked like just from the left hand. You see some of the kiddos down there flex it up. That is what I'm excited about this season. Josh, you've been covering these kids for a long time, and you've seen the changes. You've seen the positive things that are happening here in the Huntsville community. What has the attitude and the atmosphere been like when you've been out there and been around these guys during practice, even through COVID? What have you seen, Josh?
The thing that comes to mind the most, if I have to pick one word, that's confidence. I mean, it's a team that knows they're losing a lot, but also knows that there's not going to be a drop-off. They know what the standard is. And, something that I have to point out real quick, just because I noticed it, watching this scrimmage, and, this Huntsville defensive line, we talked about how they're going to be one of the strengths of this team, if not the strength. And, I mean, they're absolutely dominating in the trenches. It seems like they're standing up a Lufkin offensive line that's probably going to be the biggest, maybe the most talented that they'll face all season, and it looks like they're standing them up on almost every single play. You saw Lufkin actually have to go under center because Huntsville was getting so much push. And There we go. Right then, A.J. Wilson just drops a dime, his second of the day, and that's 75 yards to the house. I mean, like I said, Huntsville gets their feet under them in this scrimmage every year, and it seems like they really start to flex their muscles, as you saw on the sidelines just a few moments ago.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of those aired out throughout this season. That's going to be exciting to watch, especially once we get underway and regular play starting, of course, next week. Nederland at Bowers. And Josh, wanted to bring that up because we didn't know if we were going to be playing at home. We didn't know what stadium we were going to be at, and it looks like everything has finally came together, and we know what's going to happen this season, for the most part, at least right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot of the uncertainty came down to, what was going to go on with Sam Houston State and just the logistics of having to, with COVID in mind, getting a stadium turned around in about 12 hours to play a college football game. Once that was out the window with Sam postponing until the spring, really opened up the door for Huntsville to, go back to its normal home and, get that sense of normalcy in a year that's been anything but it.
Well, we're seeing tonight just the arm of that young man. Sally Dallas joining us here on YouTube. Appreciate your comments saying, let's go Hornets. If you're out there tonight and you're listening, watching, of course, on YouTube, we'd love to hear from you. Just say hello if you're on the YouTube chat. And if everything keeps rolling the way it is this season and the way that we're going to be able to do this, we'd love to hear from you throughout the season. And, Brian, we're even going to have some text messaging, where we can have folks text us during the game and share their thoughts and their feedback. And I kind of wanted to outline, how this season is going to work this year. We're going to have a countdown to kickoff. We have a sponsor for that. We're going to have Southern Talk also during that countdown to kickoff and the pregame, and that's where we'll hear from Coach Southern before every broadcast. It used to be called The Coach's Show. We've rebranded it now to Countdown to Kickoff, and then another segment called Southern Talk. We'll go into the game. We're going to have our halftime segment where we'll feature an FCA spotlight highlighting kids in the Huntsville community, not just football, but throughout Huntsville ISD athletics. And we got another big play developing here for Huntsville. And a fumble there at the end. It goes out of bounds. But that's going to kind of be the flow, and then we'll go in. We'll have post-game. We're going to have interviews throughout the game. We'll try to get a halftime and post-game interview with Coach Southern. We're also hoping to bring in players of the game as well at the end. So, Brian, a really nice format, a very nice flow, and something else that I'm very excited to bring and introduce is we're going to have instant replay as well.
Oh, that's so exciting. And I tell you what, having an interactive broadcast where fans and people can interact with us, can leave us comments, text messages, and all that kind of thing is super, super cool. And I want to say something real quick about A.J. Wilson. I'm going to go back to Josh's point on that long pass. Josh, he stepped into the pocket with complete confidence when he let that ball go, and that receiver ran right under it for I don't know, it was a 60-yard touchdown pass. But the confidence that these Hornets are showing right now, and as you look at these two teams playing, when that receiver caught that ball in the end zone, you could almost see the air come out of Lufkin's sail.
Absolutely, and I mean it's kind of like we mentioned on the defensive side of the ball earlier. You know, they're starting to stand that Lufkin O lineup on every play, and as we've seen here just over the past few minutes, Huntsville is just kind of making big play after big play with A.J. Wilson at the center of it. Had that 75-yard touchdown pass a second ago. Obviously had about a 50-yarder down the field to Jordan Woodbury earlier, and then dropped about another 35-yard pass just a few moments ago. I mean, the thing about A.J. is obviously he has that blinding speed and crazy athleticism, you know, that you haven't seen. You've been here longer than me, but I'd have to imagine it's been a minute since you've seen that kind of athleticism at the quarterback spot. But, man, his passing ability is what's really impressed me the most more than anything tonight.
Well, what impresses me is if you look at this young man, and I know this is kind of a big comparison, but as far as body style and the way he throws the football, he reminds me of Deshaun Watson for the Houston Texans. He steps in the pocket. He is very tall. He is, I don't want to say lanky, but he's slender, but he has got a rocket of an arm. But as you said earlier, he has got the legs and the speed to get him out of any kind of trouble he may get in. He is going to be so fun to watch.
Absolutely. And, you know, the thing I really like about A.J. as a quarterback is, you know, once he gets outside the pocket, he's not necessarily turning his eyes downfield to run the ball. He's still looking in the secondary and trying to find those holes for those big plays. And, you know, like we mentioned, we've seen it already a couple times tonight, kind of like Deshaun does for the Texans. You know, he might break out of that pocket, you know, when trouble comes, but he's still looking for that deep ball.
Absolutely.
First and foremost.
Well, as a former quarterback, that's what you love to do. You love to throw that deep ball, connect for 6 points, and that's what he is doing, and he is only a junior. He is going to be something else.
Absolutely. You know, I've been, you know, talking to people that have been asking, you know, Huntsville loses over 30 seniors. This does not look like a team that lost over 30 seniors. I mean, this is a team that looks seasoned for, you know, a group that really only brings back, you know, 5-6 starters.
That's right. Exactly.
We're having a great scrimmage here. Again, thanks for joining us on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. I'm Rob Hipp alongside Brian Adams, Josh Criswell down there providing commentary, and our talented crew. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining us here tonight. And we are just rocking and rolling through this scrimmage so far. We've talked about the athleticism. We've talked Josh just mentioned a few moments ago that it really doesn't look like this Hornet team has missed a beat. Coach Southern has talked about that all throughout the offseason and heading in here now into preseason and getting underway next week. And we're seeing it here live tonight. It's good when you hear the things, you believe them because you know what Coach Southern is able to do with these kids and his staff. And now seeing this. And, Josh, you know, we've talked so much about the kids, Josh, but there's also been some changes, too, and some of the coaching staff, too, with 2 new offensive coaches as well. So it's not just, you know, a new team full of kids. We've got some new staff as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you know, with change, there's always going to be that adjustment period, but something that's kind of been talked about, you know, whether it's talking to head coach and AD Rodner Southern or volleyball coach and assistant AD Cody Hassel, you know, one of the things is Huntsville's had this trend of it's such a good program at this point, really for all sports, that you have coaches that are assistants that are going on, you know, to bigger jobs that are going to help them further their careers. But the thing that everyone at Huntsville and the administration really is confident in is that while you might be losing good coaches, you're not getting worse from a coaching perspective, if that makes sense. So, I mean, they really love the guys that they brought in, and they think that if anything, they're improving with any of these new additions on the coaching side.
Yeah, and you know, from an administration type standpoint, Josh, I just wanted to say thank you to the UIL and Charles Breidup and all the folks with UIL for allowing live video on Friday nights of the games. I think that's so important due to COVID. You know, in the past, every other sport can have live video. It's just football on Friday nights. You are allowed to have delayed video. And so for this season only, having that opportunity. Wow, what a leaping up catch there just a few moments ago. Not able to haul that down, but Josh, there it goes again, man. You just see the athleticism of these kids. They're reaching up into the air, trying to haul these balls down. I'm liking what I'm seeing early here so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the thing that's really intrigued me early on in this one is, you know, you talk about, you know, the speed of AJ, and you think you're going to be a run-heavy team. But, you know, as we saw early on tonight, you know, the run really wasn't working too much early on. But, man, the passing game, that's been a whole different story. It really doesn't seem like Lufkin has an answer for it. And it's not just picking up small chunks of yards, 5, 10, 15 yards. I mean, they're going down the field with it, and, you know, they're getting one-on-one situations or beating those guys. in the secondary. So, I talked to AJ for our magazine earlier this year, and one of the things that he's really excited about the season is it's the same story that we had with Matthew last couple seasons. He's thrown to the guys that he's been throwing to since he was in middle school. So a lot of comfort there, even if they're new to being, in the spotlight at the varsity level, they're not new to each other, and there's that chemistry that's already built in, as we can see tonight.
Well, think about this also. You got some of these young men out there who are fighting for a roster spot and a starting spot, and you're seeing some of that talent and seeing a lot of that effort because they're trying to give these coaches the best show they can possibly give them prior to going into the season. And some of these kids, they want to start and they want to play. So it's been fun to see this scrimmage so far.
Absolutely, and I mean, you see it at that receiver spot. There's some guys that I'm not even sure who they are. I've been out, to practice a handful of times this fall, and, it's just these are new guys that are stepping in and already making contributions.
Josh, and we've seen it over the years and in quite some time, and actually some folks were chiming in on YouTube about this, and I think it's so important that you talk about a Huntsville community and just how unique it is and the history of the community and the wonderful people that are part of Huntsville. But this is a town to where you can not only just start playing football in Pop Warner and move your way through junior high and then high school, but you've got an opportunity to continue playing right in your own backyard for a Division I college. And I think that's a very important point that our friend Sally was making just a few moments ago.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a trend that I hope that we see. I believe that last I heard, I'm sure COVID might have changed up a few things, but last I heard, they were planning to have a couple of walk-on guys from Sam Houston State, and then also, of course, Bryson Hayes, who, had several big-time offers, including, in the Power 5 level. He had interest from schools like Illinois, Arkansas, Texas Tech. I mean, those are SEC Big 12 programs, and he said, no thanks, I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to go be a part of something special at Sam Houston State. And I mean, he's going to be taking over and stepping into some big shoes because, in my opinion, Sam has the best defensive line in the entire FCS. So he's going to step in, going to play alongside another really talented guy in Javon Leon that came up big and was a freshman All-American last season. So, I mean, that future is bright for them. And Bryson, I think the ceiling is limitless for him. I mean, he's a guy who is going to thrive in that weight program at Sam Houston State. And I'm just really excited to see him make his impact for the Bearcats whenever that may be.
Hey, Josh, it's not Javon Leon. It's Javon Leon.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to get that down right, John.
Right.
That's the Brian Adams call right there, man.
I got to work on my radio voice for you.
That's all right, man. Well, we're having fun here tonight again, friends. Thanks for joining us on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network for this scrimmage here in Lufkin, Texas. We're just still doing some outline plays right now. There has not been a running clock yet, and just seeing a lot of great looks and observations here throughout this ball game, and see some powerful running here just a few moments ago there by Lufkin. And you talk about big bodies, 6A school system here in Lufkin, a community that they love their football, just like every town, honestly, in the state of Texas that you go to. These folks love their football. They've showed up tonight here, the social distancing rules working out wonderfully. But this is a very tough and talented 6A team. It's good to see the Hornets out here facing these guys early in the season like this in a scrimmage against one of the top 15 teams in the state of Texas.
Well, Huntsville is putting on a very good show against this powerhouse in Lufkin. And to be honest with you, I think Huntsville is kind of have its edge so far tonight with some of their big plays they've made. But you're right. Lufkin is typically, they're top ranked in 6A, and there's no higher level.
5A. I kept saying
5A.
5A.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but I need to correct that.
Division 1 5A.
Yeah, division. I keep getting slipped up here. That's why we have the scrimmage broadcast too, Brian.
Well, that's right. And this is prior to the regular season starting next week. So there you go.
So we're just getting all the kinks worked out and just having a lot of fun up here tonight. We're actually going to step aside for just a couple of minutes. We'll continue the video. When we come back, we'll talk more Hornet football. Here before too long, we should see a running quarter and see a little bit more play. We'll step aside, though, for just a brief moment. This is the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. Well, welcome back, friends. We are live in Lufkin, Texas, here for this scrimmage, a little preseason action, kind of, if you will. I'm Rob Hipp alongside my good friend Brian Adams, and just looking forward to a great upcoming season. We'll start things with the regular season starting up next week. Nederland at Bowers, going to be a fun contest there, and we'll bring them all to you this season. You'll hear them on the radio on 101.7 KSAM and the all-new Hornet Nation broadcast network. And we'll also have this video. So just going to be a fun time, Brian. Looking forward to it. Got a lot of work to do between, well, really starting after this broadcast tonight and before the regular season kicks off underway next week. We've still got a lot of work that we're doing, a lot of production things that we're putting into place, and we're going to make it happen. So it's going to be just an exciting time, Brian. And, you know, we're having fun, but I'm excited for these kids and this program and the coaching staff and the Huntsville community being able to get behind something, trying to find a sense of normalcy again, and we're finding it here with high school football tonight.
Yes, and again, we've said it several times tonight. I'm certainly glad that we have high school football, and I'm happy for these kids. I mean, especially for these seniors who have an opportunity to take their game to the next level. And you know, what a shame or a travesty it would have been if we would have not had football. And I am looking forward to going to Bowers next week, having their Hornets' first home game against Nederland. Nederland is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough opening game. But as what we've seen so far tonight, Huntsville has picked up where they left off last year and the year before that, and it ought to be exciting.
I'm looking forward to putting that AC, you know, to around 55 degrees and see if I can freeze you out of that little box again, man. We have a lot of fun. You know, last year I kept it cold in there.
Oh, well, that's how we like it.
Well, you know, I ended up kind of having a little, I wouldn't say like a health crisis, but had some things going on coming back from Louisiana there last year in January, and it forced me to start eating a lot healthier and dropped about 50 pounds. I think I picked up 50 pounds last year when we were calling college sports because we ate so much, Brian.
Well, when you travel with Sam Houston or any kind of college football team and you go out of town and, I mean, you're eating with the team and they're constantly eating because they're such big guys and they burn those calories and that energy so quick. It's but for us older guys, we don't quite burn the calories quite the same way those guys do. So, no, I get it. But, it's going to be exciting. Huntsville is really looking good tonight. And, again, you talk about that defensive line and that secondary. Boy, they're going to be tough to score against. And the O-line for Huntsville, I'm really excited to see how they do. Again, that was one of the areas on the Hornet team that kind of got decimated with graduation.
Yep.
But these guys are going to step up, and if they can just keep on their blocks just a second longer and give AJ some time, AJ's going to shred these defenses.
We got a lot of friends joining us tonight. All of you on the YouTube stream, thanks for being a part of this broadcast and supporting Huntsville Hornet Nation. Special shout out again to Sally Dawes. Thank you for joining us tonight. Steve Ricks, appreciate you, Steve, and all that you do in the community and all of your dedicated work. Mark Wheeler also joining us and putting in a few comments as well. And also a special shout-out to Miss Lisa Blackburn. Thanks for joining us. And Lisa just has been tremendous through the school system and what she does for athletics. And I plugged this earlier. I'm going to plug it all season long, friends. Get over to hornetnation.org and keep up to date with the latest. Not just football, what's going on with football, but we've got other sports going on as well. And Josh can chime in a little bit about that here in a little bit. But, you know, we've got volleyball going on as well. Going to be another season here for volleyball to see if they can really get their gears going. Nice little slant route there across center of the field. As you saw, that one caught around the 40-yard line. And that's what we want to see throughout this season. Very quick routes, cutting in back to the middle. That's going to pick up some yardage, move the chains here for the Hornets. We're still just in series here. We're not playing a quarter. But, Josh, you know, we're kind of bouncing around here tonight, having a lot of fun. But, yeah, there's more going on. There's not just football. We're talking about volleyball as well. And you can find out a lot about that, of course, through what you do through the Huntsville item and then, of course, at hornetnation.org. But we had a good chat opportunity to talk with the coach for volleyball here just a few days ago, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I always enjoy talking to Huntsville volleyball coach and assistant AD, Cody Hassel. And, you know, one of the things that stood out to me about what he had to say during our interview, you know, it's something that we've talked about on the show with Coach Southern as well as basketball coach Jay Oliphant. And, I mean, Cody's a coach who's in his 4th year in a program, and any coach will tell you once you get to years 4, 5, and 6, that's really whenever you get to start reaping the benefits of what you've been doing as a coach. And I mean, they're in year 4, and they look night and day difference from last year. I mean, they're a team with 7 seniors that didn't make the playoffs last year, but they have district title aspirations this season. And I mean, that alone should tell you a lot about where this team is at.
Absolutely. We're seeing some changes here as far as a little bit of personnel switches here. Some other young men trying to get some opportunities out here on the field. And what's cool about the scrimmages are you got the coaches on the field. So the coaches are kind of getting a view right there behind their team, seeing from that perspective what's going on, and they're able to give direction and shout-outs right there from the field. Airing this one up over to the right side, that was almost intercepted. Just throwing that one a little close to the inside. And, he'll be working on that throughout this season coming up.
Yeah, those are when you do one of those kind of pass plays, when you kind of loft it up to your wideout running down the sideline, you don't want to throw those passes short. You want it to either go right into his hands or you want it to go out of bounds so that defender can't intercept it. But, again, this is a scrimmage game, so they're working out the kinks and obviously looking to improve in every aspect.
And we should see a little bit of a quarter at least starting to run here before too long. You see head coach Rodney Southern over there talking with Lufkin's coach, and they may be making a decision to do that before too long and get this rolling. We've been on and rolling here for about an hour with this varsity scrimmage. A lot of good looks so far. Huntsville currently with the ball, and that's the second time tonight that we've seen a high snap. They're going to have to get that figured out as the season goes on. But you've got some of your second team now in there, and they're working on some things here in this scrimmage, and that's why you have the scrimmages, Brian.
Well, that's right. And in the beginning of the year, especially in preseason games and scrimmages, things like that, you're going to have a lot of mistakes. And the hope is by the time district rolls around that you've gotten those mistakes out of your system and things like that.
I think we may, I was just talking just a few moments ago, noticed Coach Southern talking to Lufkin's coach just a few minutes ago, and I think that we will see before too long these quarter getting started. Josh Criswell, though, down on the field. Josh, we'll send it back down to you. We got you on camera now, Josh. Good to see you down there.
Absolutely, and, glad to put me on camera, and most importantly, glad to have the, 2008 District 10-5A offensive MVP standing right next to me. And, obviously he would say this, more important than that, winner of 5 playoff games over the past 2 seasons, a historic accomplishment here in Huntsville. Matthew, first question I got to ask you, you've been a part of some big games, during your Huntsville career. We're going to talk a little bit here shortly about what you have going on after high school, but, looking back on it, had some big wins. What's one moment from high school that stands out to you the most?
Definitely against Fort Bend Marshall. I threw a play in the fourth quarter to Jalen Griffin, and that's probably the best moment I've ever had in high school football. And, of course, it didn't end the way we wanted, but that was by far the most fun game and best moment of my high school career for sure.
Right. I mean, I remember I was watching that game back in the office on live, and we were looking at it and we're like, there's no way he's about to get sacked for minus 10, 15 yards. And then you just break out of it and roll out. What was kind of going through your head whenever you saw Jalen streaking up down the field like he was?
Yeah, it started off, and I knew he was going to run a post, but I had to step up in the pocket, and a guy kind of grabbed me, and I almost fell, and I caught myself. And then I started scrambling, and I saw him turn and start going left, and I just threw it. And it's probably the greatest throw I've ever had. I don't even know how I got it there, to be honest, but it hit him, and it was a big moment in that game.
Right, over these past 2 years, we've seen this community really come alive for Huntsville football. Always supported it, but I've never seen anything like it's been, these past couple seasons, just the excitement level. For you as a player and, someone who's lived here since you were in middle school, what was it like to kind of be a part of that group that really energized this Huntsville community whenever it comes to Hornet football?
It's awesome because seeing the difference in just the community from when I first got here to graduating, just it's galvanized and everybody's coming out to support one thing, and no one's negative about it, and even the players, just it's one goal, and they're going to work as hard as they can to complete that goal.
Right, you talk about the players. We were just talking about it on the air. Your dad's been here for 5, 6, 7 years now, and one of the things when you get to that point is you kind of get your program established. How much have things changed, just as far as the buy-in from the kids, in Huntsville athletics since y'all got here, I guess, whenever you were in 7th grade?
Well, you can tell a difference from just the first year summer workouts, which is probably one of the biggest things for a program. The numbers are greater than they've ever been. Whenever we first got here, me and Miles Tatum and Jaden Schroeder were the only 7th graders that came to summer workouts, which is crazy. But now when you go out there, you'll see a bunch of little guys out there working, and that's what creates a good program, is working them from young all the way up.
Right, and, out here tonight, getting to see a little bit of the guy who's going to be stepping into your shoes, A.J. Wilson. Got to play with him last year, but, early on, he's had some really great deep balls. Had a 75-yard touchdown to Nemo, or not to Nemo, to these New Jersey numbers, everyone's fighting for a job. But, what have you noticed from A.J.? What are some things that you really like about what he does as a quarterback?
Of course he's athletic, and there's nothing you can take away from that, but he's standing in the pocket and really letting the ball go and not hesitating when he's throwing, and people are going to come out there, and it's going to be a whole new team, and they better be ready for it, because if AJ breaks it, you're not going to catch him.
Right. Just one last question I have for you. We've talked about on tonight's broadcast about how cool it is that, Huntsville football players that have the ability to go to the next level have that chance to stay home and play at Sam Houston State. And from what you've been telling me, it sounds like you're going to be joining the Bearcat football program as soon as COVID-19 allows you to.
Well, it was a tough decision because right after just the season wasn't very – I don't know. I didn't handle some of the things that happened as well as I could have, and I learned a lot of lessons. And at first I was done with football, but I started watching and seeing things, and I was like, hey, I still want to play. Like I need to do that. And so I decided kind of late, and because of COVID, they have a bubble and they can't add anymore. So I'm meeting with them and working out on my own, but as soon as I can go, I'll be up there.
What's just one last one for you? What's the thing about the Sam Houston State football program that really stands out to you and really kind of attracted you and wanted you to get that itch to get back into football?
Well, just when I first started talking to him, the offensive coordinators, he has been like really good with me. And normally somebody like that, a walk-on, you're not going to really care where they are, what are they doing. But I've been meeting with them, and I think they just want to be better than how it was, because it went down and they're a lot better now. But they score a lot of points, and I love their offense so far, just learning about it. And I love seeing a team score 50 or more points, and that's something that I hope to be a part of.
Former Huntsville quarterback, and I guess at this point we can say former Huntsville great after these past 2 seasons, Matthew Southern. Thanks you so much for taking a few minutes to chat with us.
Thank you.
Well, appreciate hearing from that great interview down there, Josh, and appreciate all your work tonight, and also TJ behind the camera making things happen here on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. Lufkin still with the ball. We're still not into a quarter yet. Wide open receiver down there near midfield, trying to dart his way over to the left side, and a swarm of Hornets able to bring him down just shy of the 50-yard line. We're seeing some breakaway plays here for Lufkin, but we've seen quite a few of them for the Hornets on their offense as well. And the defense, we're seeing a little bit of breakdown in some of the defense, but you've got some other guys coming in there, Brian. They're getting some valuable time here in this scrimmage, and we'll see how that transitions as we start things next week. Nederland at home at Bowers.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And right there, just Lufkin did a really good job just then. Huntsville was in his own defense, the wide out for Lufkin. Just kind of found the open spot and settled in. Quarterback found him, hit him between the numbers, and that's what you want to do as a quarterback. You want to read the defense. You want to see what kind, if they're in man, if they're in zone, and you got your wideouts reading the same thing. And if you're on the same page and you're connecting with each other, I tell you, you're going to be tough. And right then, Lufkin's wideout found that open spot and hit him. They got him a first down. So that's a good play there by Lufkin.
Josh, one thing, Josh Criswell with the Huntsville Item down there on the sidelines with us tonight. And, Josh, one thing, as we continue the scrimmage here, one thing is we're starting a month later. In fact, Nathan and I were talking about this on the way from Huntsville, the hour-and-a-half drive just up the highway here to Lufkin, talking about we're starting a month later than we normally would. It's a little bit cooler outside than if we would have been rolling in August. Kind of your thoughts and takeaways on that. That could be a positive thing.
Yeah, selfishly, me being someone that's out on the sidelines, I love it. I love this cool weather. It actually feels like fall for a change, which is something that we usually don't hit until about a week into the football season. Usually I'm out here sweating through my second shirt by now whenever we're scrimmaging Lufkin out here. So I'm not complaining about it. And, I love it. I'm a cold weather guy, and I think that's whenever you get the best football games. From my playing days, the things I always remember is those November practices, getting ready for the postseason. So, it's one of those things where it feels like a big-time football game the colder that it gets out.
Lufkin's was moving the ball here just a few moments ago, but now Huntsville with another opportunity And is that AJ back out there, Josh?
No, that's one of their younger guys. I believe he's a freshman. I've heard really, really good things about him. A guy who they believe is going to be able to step in. Really great athlete like AJ, but can also sling the ball around. And he's a guy that, they're grooming, it sounds like, to kind of step in once AJ has graduated. And from the looks of things, by all accounts, it looks like he has a guy that with a couple of good seasons could be playing at the next level.
Yeah, this is great getting to see some of these second and third string guys. And you talked about his athleticism. He tried to leap over a player there just a few moments ago. Now airing one out here over to the right side, overthrew his receiver. But just to give you an idea about the arm that this young man has.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, that's one of the things that impresses him. Whenever you have a guy who's probably the best athlete in his class, if he's able to pass the ball and he's able to learn that quarterback position, and especially in this scenario, you got at least 2 years to do it. I mean, that's something that you love to see as a program.
Well, one of the things also, Josh, is when you have success, it breeds success. And I remember growing up as a young kid in Huntsville a long time ago, and Huntsville always being a powerhouse and winning district every year, winning all their home games and district games and things like that. As a youngster, as an elementary kid, could not wait till it was my turn. And it was 10 years away. And I know that attitude and that thought process has really come in now that Coach Southern is here, turned this program around and had all the success they've had. These younger kids in intermediate school, elementary school, this is what they can't wait to do.
Oh, absolutely. And, in a sense, it's what we've seen here at Lufkin over the past decade or so. And it's something that we're starting to see. Huntsville seems like as a program, like they just keep getting better and better. Doesn't really matter who they lose. It just seems like they continue to reload. And that's not necessarily all talent. That has to come down to, I know the coaches are going to give the credit to the players first and foremost. You got to put a ton of that credit on Coach Southern for putting that program in place. I mean, we've seen it with some of the schools. I won't name any names, but, some of the teams that Huntsville have had in its district in the past, there's a reason why bigger schools have not been very good at football, and because it's because there's no consistency. Whenever you think about Huntsville football these past 5 or 6 years under Rodney Southern, consistency is probably the first thing that comes to mind. Those first couple years, a little bit, rocky, and then once you get rolling, I mean, we talk about these past 2 years, but you go back a year before that, and that was a 2017 team that was a district champion.
Huntsville driving here on this set of downs. A nice handoff over to the right side and a lot of speed out there trying to get to that first down marker just shy of the 35. And that's the speed that we're going to see this season as well. Some of these youngsters out here, and you may have, some of these kiddos, Josh, they may be small guys, but I'm going to tell you what, the small guys can run fast.
Oh, absolutely. And I think speed's going to be the name of the game for Huntsville this season. It's something we've seen tonight. I mean, they love to go after the big plays. Sometimes in years past, they've been, they go with that power attack, with the running game whenever they have it. But I think they're a team that realizes that one of their best strengths is going to be getting their elite athletes in open space. We're starting to see them do a little bit of it tonight, obviously not going to give away the whole playbook during the scrimmage. But, yeah, I mean, I love what I see, and I think that's going to play to Huntsville's strengths. The more you can get those athletes that they have out in the open field, that's going to create nightmares for opposing defenses.
Well, Huntsville here, they were close to picking up that first down. The ball goes back, though, back to the 40-yard line. And a keeper here, quarterback over to the right side, able to get that first down, and I'm not sure if a flag flew. Some of these kids down there, Josh, I saw one of the Lufkin players look like he had a yellow towel on him, and I said, man, that almost looks like it's a referee flag down there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It does get a little confusing out there on scrimmage night.
I'll tell you one of the exciting things that's going to happen this year, I believe, with A.J. Wilson at the helm is, we talk about it, he is going to go for the big play as soon as he possibly can. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to be so successful on those big plays, and that is so demoralizing to a football team to have big plays against you. And that's one of the things that is such a weapon. And I remember back in my playing days, that's what I tried to do. I tried to hit a big play right off the bat, whether it was a pickoff by our defense, first play out as offense, trying to hit a big play, because there's nothing more demoralizing than hitting the team with a big play.
Oh, absolutely. And, the thing that kind of stands out to me, just, obviously early stages in the scrimmage, haven't even got to week 1 yet, but we talk about that big playability. And that's something that was kind of a trademark of that 2018 Huntsville team. Obviously, everyone talked about the defense with Devondre Sweat now at Texas, and then obviously guys like Jordan Brown and Bryson Hayes, who are now playing at the Division I level on the defensive side of the ball. But, I mean, you can't forget about Jalen Griffin there at receiver, who was absolutely electric. I think around 20 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards receiving. And with him, it just seemed like it was deep ball after deep ball after deep ball. And we just talked to Matthew Southern, former Hornet quarterback for these past 2 years, and Jalen Griffin was an instrumental part in him securing that district offensive MVP award. So kind of an interesting situation, because now you have a quarterback who is the one who is producing those big play opportunities, because teams are going to be so worried with his legs, I feel like, that there's going to be a lot of single coverage opportunities for him to exploit down the field.
Well, that's when he is having to scramble. And A.J. Wilson, if, say, the line protection breaks down, he starts scrambling, that's when the defense is going to be in trouble, because they're going to be reacting to his legs and trying to stop him, and they're going to be forgetting about the wide receivers who are finding that open space in the backfield, and I think it is just going to rain footballs.
Absolutely, and I think by the sounds of it, it looks like we might be getting us a little bit of a live scrimmage action going on.
Yeah, let's send it up to the PA just for a second, Josh. And Josh, if you could, yeah, there you go.
COVID-19 by wearing a face covering at all times unless consuming food or drink, maintaining at least 6 feet of distance at all times from other groups and individuals outside your household, washing or sanitizing your hands often, and avoiding touching eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. We hope you'll enjoy tonight's scrimmage and help to support your school and community by participating in proper social distancing measures. Remember to keep at least 6 feet distance between you and other outside of your household. Together, we can slow the spread of COVID-19. Please remember to protect yourself and others by wearing a face covering at all times unless consuming food or drink. Wearing a face covering in public settings is proven to be one of the most effective ways to slow the spread of COVID-19. Face coverings simply do not jeopardize the health of the student athletes participating in the game and others in the community.
So that is what's happening here, Josh. We will get underway with a actual quarter scrimmage here. I'm not sure how long they're going to run this, Josh. And typically I've seen some where they run one quarter. I've been to a scrimmage where they ran a full 4 quarters. What are you expecting here tonight?
You can't really expect too much. I think it's one of those things where it comes down to what the coaches see. If they've seen enough, they're not going to waste any extra time out there on the field. Week 1's coming up. We've already put off this season long enough. I don't think you're going to go any longer than necessary, just from a pure injury perspective. But I think we can expect at least a good quarter or so from these ones for both teams.
We'll do a little bit here on our end, and we will see if we can they're not going to run a kickoffs here. Huntsville will start with it again. We don't have the official roster yet. I promise next week you're going to hear the names. Huntsville with it. A little shaking here, starting for the 25. Over the center right away on the first play of the game here in the scrimmage. That's the way the Hornets want to start this season and start the scrimmage. A touchdown right out of the gates for the Huntsville Hornets.
And we just talked about that. A.J. Wilson rolled out to his right. The weak safety for Lufkin was eyeballing A.J. Wilson. Never saw that receiver get behind him. Great pass, A.J. Wilson, 6 points.
And that's A.J.'s second 75-yard touchdown of the night. Not too bad for a kid with only 2 varsity starts under his belt.
I'm telling you, Josh, he is playing like a veteran quarterback already.
Absolutely, and we don't want to get too far ahead of the horse here, but I mean he's playing like a guy that is a Division I caliber quarterback, and I think that's something that is only going to improve over these next 2 seasons.
Opportunity here for Huntsville on the extra point kick, leading this early scrimmage. Pretty much no time ran off, just a few seconds actually underway, and this kick on its way, the extra point up through the uprights and good. And Huntsville Hornets in gameplay action taking. I don't even know what to call it.
Well,
Brian taking a 7-0 lead here to start this scrimmage.
Well, we just talked about it just a few minutes ago, the big plays. First play from scrimmage, big play, touchdown. I mean, that kind of play right there is so demoralizing for the opponent. It's unbelievable.
We'll call a little bit of action up here. Typically don't call games if we don't have rosters, but we'll call it, Brian. We'll have fun here tonight. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Josh down there, Chriswell joining us, and that's is that going to be a sign of what we're going to see this season? I think so, Josh, and we'll see how things wrap up here.
Yeah, I mean, if we're seeing it already against what's probably, maybe outside of A&M Consolidated, probably the best defense they're going to face I guess they're not going to see, that many that are better than Lufkin in the regular season. So if we're seeing this already, I mean, that's 2 75-yard touchdown passes from A.J. Wilson, and we're all but 10 seconds into the live portion of this scrimmage. So I think it's a good sign for things to come.
They're going to run 12-minute quarters here. Not sure how many of them. It's 7-0. Huntsville leading. Lufkin with the ball the first time tonight as they'll move it from left to right. You can see it on your video screen there. And the Panthers going under center here to start things. You don't see that a whole lot anymore, Brian. You see a lot of shotgun in high school and college, but under center, a handoff on a draw, and the runman will take it up just shy and maybe picks up the first down here. We'll see if that's where it's marked, and it is a first down for the Panthers.
Well, you're right. The Panthers were under center, and they had a I formation. They had a fullback and a tailback, and handed off to the fullback up the middle and picked up the first down.
So moving the chains as we are officially underway here in the scrimmage now as far as quarter gameplay. 10:57 remaining. Hornets lead 7-0. Lufkin has it left to right. The ball resting on the 42 on the right hash mark. And this may be an offense where we see them, they're working this, and this may be a team that goes under center. Stepping back, pass over right side, caught at the 50, and now scrambling out of bounds as 2 Hornets were trying to chase him out. Maybe enough for another Panther first down. We'll see where the official mark is.
Basket number 3, A.J.
I went over to A.J. Montgomery is who the receiver was, and that is enough for a Panther first down, moving it into Hornet territory.
Well, Montgomery ran a great route. He ran a 10 to 12-yard curl, and that was a timing route. Quarterback for the Panthers hit him right between the numbers, and they were able to move the chains.
Rob, you mentioned how they're going under center, and that's not something they were doing at the start of this scrimmage. They were going out of the shotgun at first, but after they were getting stood up on essentially every single play by that powerful Huntsville defensive line, they've been going under center ever since. They just, they had a couple of miscues with snaps, led to a couple sacks, and they've been under center ever since.
Well, they used to say, Josh, that the running game opened up the passing game. Of course, now most teams run the spread offense. But you're right, Lufkin was having problems holding up guys like Ed Bobino come crashing in, so they're coming under center to try to at least move the ball.
Lufkin has it second down and 9 here. The ball resting on the Hornet 48. Just in between the hash marks, just across the Panther logo. Quarterback's under center. 4-2 here by the Hornets. Stepping back, airing this one out over to the right side. Has a receiver wide open midfield. He drops it. That was a picture-perfect pass into the hands of his receiver. Not a lot of pressure there from the Hornets, and Lufkin simply just dropping the ball there, Brian.
Well, I know that wide out for Lufkin would like that one to have that one back. That was 6 points in the making, and that was a good play fake by the quarterback for Lufkin. He ran basically a naked bootleg, so the whole team is going one way. He rolls out the other way. Wideout was wide open down the middle.
Well, it's the first time we've seen a 3rd and 9 here, a third down play for that matter, and we'll see how Lufkin can react. Stepping back, looking over to the left side, has the pass, it's caught, and he is going to be stopped just a yard shy. I don't think they're going to give that receiver any forward progress to the 39-yard line. It'll bring up 4th down and a short 1.
Well, this is going to be a big test here right off the bat for the Hornet defensive line. With 4th and 1, I'd venture to guess they're going to probably try to run it up the middle and try to pick up that first down because, again, they're in the I formation, so they have a fullback, an extra blocker.
On the defensive side for the Hornets, many up front here on a 4th down and 1. Of course, here in the scrimmage, you're going to go for these. It's a good opportunity to see how the reaction is on 4th and 1. Sweep back out to the right side, has enough for the first down across the 25 and near the 20 on that right side. And that is a Panther first down, deep now into Hornet territory.
Well, that was a good play by them. They did. They ran the sweep to the right side over here close to the booth, and that's the job of the secondary to come crashing in on that to stop them.
First down and 10, the ball in the red zone now on the 20, resting on that right hash mark. Panthers continuing under center here. 2 receivers, as you can see, down to the right, and 1 lone Panther to the left. Handoff in the backfield across the 15-yard line, eventually ankle tackled, trying to cross over that 15 down to around the 13.
Well, Lufkin is having success running the ball. And that's something that they had to find some way to kind of move the chains, and so far they're finding it on the ground.
Well, picked up 7 on that run. It brings up second down and a short 3 with 8:17 remaining here in the first quarter. Panthers under center, ball on the right hash on the 13. Pass over to the right side, and that one just out of the reach of the hands. A little bit too much of a dart there as it goes through the fingertips and out of bounds, incomplete. Brings up 3rd and 3, Brian.
Yeah, that was just a little hitch route there by the wideout, and you got to see it all the way in. It went in and out of his hands. So, difficult play.
Brian, I didn't know we were going to be calling a game tonight. I'm having a little bit of fun.
It's kind of exciting, isn't it?
It's just, like I said, next week we'll have the names, we'll have the rosters, we'll have the numbers. We'll be ready to rock and roll next week. Brings up 3rd down and 3 after the incomplete pass. 8:06 remaining. Hornets leading 7-0. Lufkin with the ball. Pitch over to the left side on the sweep. Trying to break through a defender across the 15 and not able to get back across the first down. Maybe back to the original line of scrimmage. And for the second time on this possession, Brian, I think we'll see a 4th down coming up.
And we got a Hornet down over on the far sidelines near the Hornet bench. Not sure who that is.
Well, they did give that runman a couple of yards to make it 4th down and 1. So the second time in this series for the Panthers that we've seen a 4th and 1 coming up.
Well, the Hornets did a much better job on that sweep that time. The defensive back did what he was supposed to do. He crashed the play, and it threw the running back off a little bit so his defenders could help him bring him down short of the first down.
There's an injury timeout on the field. We'll step aside for just a few moments. When we come back, more of the scrimmage here live from Lufkin, Texas. This is the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network on 101.7 KSAM and SHN Sports. We'll be right back in just a few moments. All right, back in action here from Lufkin, Texas. Clock running, 7:46 to go here in the first in this scrimmage. Lufkin with the ball, trying to threaten down into the end zone, and the Hornets reading that beautifully on the handoff, slinging them back, and on 4th and 1, it's a turnover on downs. The Hornets will get the ball.
Well, guess who that was? Big 99 Ed Bobino, and he just stuffed him.
And we talk about Bobino earlier in this ball game, the Louisiana commit, and this young man having a lot of D1 offers, of course, throughout his wonderful career here in high school and making a big play there for the Hornets of your Huntsville Hornets. And I'm talking about a young man going to Louisiana Monroe, or committed to Louisiana Monroe. 7:34 remaining here as we're underway in the first quarter. Huntsville leading 7-0. They've got the ball. They'll start this possession, their second of the night, from the 16-yard line on the right hash mark.
Well, 2 things I've seen so far since they've gone live. One is on the first possession for the Hornets, big play, touchdown. And then right there on 4th and 1, big Ed Bobino for the Hornet defense, stuffing the Lufkin Panther running back to cause Hornets to get the ball back.
Hornets have it. A.J. passes. It's dropped just shy of the 20. Incomplete, brings up second down and 10.
Yeah, A.J., I'm liking what I'm seeing out of this young man. There has been a lot of great quarterbacks come through the Huntsville system, and Josh just had Matthew Southern on, who is certainly one of them, and A.J. certainly has the potential to be one of them. What I like to see is his poise in the pocket, and he certainly has that.
Here on a draw play and just immediately stop, maybe a 1-yard loss. Just receiving confirmation, too, a few moments ago that Bobino actually decommitted from ULM. That was his original commit, but he is decommitted now. And, of course, he's still got some D1 offers out there on the table as well, but he is decommitted. Wanted to make sure we get that. Thanks, Josh Criswell, for the update.
Absolutely. I mean, and decommitted, but has, I believe, at last I checked, at least 7 Division I offers. So, I mean, he's going to have opportunities to play. And A.J. with a nice little screen right here. I'll throw it back to you, Rob.
Dropped over, yeah, nice screen play, and able to pick up some positive yardage across the 20-yard line, 6:50 remaining. And that will bring up Huntsville's first 4th down, if I'm not mistaken. And we may see We'll see if they go. It's a scrimmage, but they may get the punt unit out here. They will, and they'll see what the kicking special teams looks like here early in this season here in this scrimmage, Brian.
Well, they need to see all aspects of the ball game before they open up next week against Nederland. And, so the punt team is out. But A.J. Wilson did a great job on that screen. He brought the defensive line into him, which is what you're supposed to do. Dumped off a nice pass, just came up a little bit short.
6:22 remaining here in the first. Clock now winding down. Hornets lead 7-0. As Huntsville will punt this one away. The punter standing on his own 10-yard line. And Lufkin set back to receive on their own 45. This is a short punt. It's going to take a bounce just inside the 50, and we'll see if they give it to him at midfield. It was caught immediately, and I think they're going to mark it right there, dead center, Brian. And for the second time tonight, I believe, the Lufkin Panthers will have the ball, trailing 7-0 here in the first with 6:02 remaining.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Lufkin comes out in the second possession. Are they going to come back out under center, or are they going to go into the shotgun? Let's see what they can do to be successful.
They will start this possession near that left hash mark. Again, thanks for joining us. It's just a scrimmage here in Lufkin, Texas. We don't have the names, numbers, rosters with us tonight. We'll have it next week. But we're just calling the game here for you as we're getting – this is our scrimmage too, Brian. And, of course, next week games will also start on the radio on 101.7 KSAM here on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. 6:02 remaining here. Lufkin with the possession. Nice handoff. Good opportunity here for the Panthers. Finally brought down in Huntsville. Hornet territory at the 35.
Well, that was a good run. That was just
Caleb Berry, good for
Caleb Berry. We heard it there.
Yeah, just a good handoff up the middle. He went off the center guard gap. Big hole. Big play for Lufkin.
5:47 clock remains running here. The ball resting on the Hornet 33 on the right side, on the right hash mark. As Josh pointed out earlier, the Panthers remaining under center here. They started this game in the shotgun. Started the pre-snaps in shotgun. Airing one out right side, just out of the reach of that right arm. It's incomplete, brings up 2nd down and 10.
Well, he had an open wide receiver there for the Lufkin Panthers. He just overthrew him. And and you can tell this is the first scrimmage of the year. These guys are a little bit rusty. Their timing is a little off. And once their timing comes together, there's going to be some big plays there.
Hey, by the way, those of you out there tonight, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Stay up to date with the latest happening here on the Hornet Nation Broadcast Network, powered by SHN Sports. 5:27 remaining. Lufkin with the ball, a handoff here, and the Hornets immediately stopping him back just shy of the 40 at the 39, maybe the 38. That's the defense we wanted to see here tonight.
Well, that's what they call the swarm defense, and Hornets are famous for that. One guy wraps him up, and the rest of the defense jumps on. Swarm. That was a good play there by the defense.
It'll bring up 3rd and a long 13. Just over 5 minutes remaining here in the first. The Hornets holding on to that 7-0 lead here in this scrimmage in Lufkin, Texas. Thanks for joining us. We're here at the John Outlaw Memorial Field. Beautiful facility. Thank you to the hospitality of Lufkin and for allowing us to be up here tonight. Great to be back. On a 3rd and 13, rolling to the right, being chased. Now throws this one over center. Beautiful spiraling pass, and it's broken up. Great defense again for the Hornets, bringing it to them, and it'll bring up 4th down and long.
Well, there was a lot of pressure coming in from the Hornet linebacking crew right there on Panthers quarterback. He was able to get it off, and he had what looked like a good pass, but the Hornet defenders, the weak safety and the cornerback converged and knocked that ball down. Great play.
That's just great coverage down there. Definitely no pass interference, just great coverage. You want to make that contact right as the ball gets there. Exactly what the Hornets had to do. It'll bring up 4th and 13, and now the special teams for the Panthers will punt this one away to Huntsville, set to receive around the 10-yard line.
Well, this will give the Hornets a chance to look at their punt receiving team. Again, look at all aspects of this scrimmage you can before you start opening week.
High snap, able to get this one off. It's going to be a high-sailing punt, but not much distance to it, and it goes out of bounds maybe around the 20 here on our side. From our perspective, Brian, we're right near the 50, and they will mark it right there at the 20. I've always said that's got to be a hard call for some of these officials when those balls go out of bounds. How do you know where it's at? You can't go look at a camera, so you just give your best estimate of where that ball is going.
Oh, exactly. When they go high and out of bounds so fast, then it's kind of deceiving how it is. You know, what's really weird to that point, you know, when we go do the Piney Woods game for Sam Houston and SFA, we're at NRG Stadium, and we're so high up, and when they punt that football, you lose all perspective because you're so high up in the air, and the ball is below you. It's just hard to judge.
Huntsville with the possession again. Third time tonight, leading 7-0. 4:32 remaining here in the first. Throw over left side, caught just outside the 35 at the 36. And a pickup of about 7 here on first down. Should bring up second down and 3, and it does for the Hornets.
Well, the Hornets are doing a really good job tonight, and they're keeping their composure, and they're chipping away. You know, they hit them with the big play. They've moved the field. I mean, the idea of this is to move the chains.
Here on a 2nd and 3, handoff here, not much on it. Great coverage, great read, rather, by the Panther defense, able to snuff them up just outside the 35 at the 36, in between the hash marks. A beautiful night for scrimmage football here in East Texas. Thanks for joining us on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network, powered by SHN Sports. I'm Rob Hipp alongside Brian Adams. We'll be bringing you the action all season long, starting next week also on 101.7 KSAM, your hometown radio station. Huntsville rolling on 3rd and 3. Darting back, AJ looking for daylight. Will pick up the first down, running out of bounds, and finally goes out of bounds around the, caught the 42, but a little bit of a late flag here. We'll see what this one is. Josh, did you happen to see anything down there from your end?
I didn't happen to see anything, but it looked like it came in from the secondary. Not sure if they were throwing a late flag or if there was some holding down the field. See that sometimes whenever a play breaks down and the QB starts moving around. So we'll see here shortly, what the final verdict is on that. But, I mean, penalty or no penalty, that's what AJ can do with his legs. I mean, nothing going on. Most QBs would be trapped there in the right side of the backfield, and he just turns into a running back and completely reverses course and burns everybody out there on the field to the other end.
Yeah, it looks like it was a hold. The ball's going to come back, and what would have been a first down instead will bring up 3rd and about 12 from our perspective here. Going backwards here are the Hornets on 3rd and long. Dump pass, drops it off just outside the 30, and a good ankle tackle here by the Panthers. Not much on it, and the Hornets will be forced to punt this one away.
Yeah, they just tried to run a middle screen right there, and it was set up really good, but the linebacker for Lufkin read it well and stopped him short of the first down. Going back to AJ a little bit ago with his legs, he's able to what coaches call extend the play. And he was able to do that, and he's going to be able to do that all year long, and that's going to cause so many problems for defenders.
First punt earlier tonight by the Hornets, fielded right at midfield around the 50. Kind of a similar situation here. Lufkin set back to receive, standing on their own 40, trailing 7-0, 2:40 to go. This punt up on its way. Nice end-over-end spiraling punt. It'll drop at the 30, and a fair catch is called. We'll see if it's marked officially. Looks like the 31.
Yeah, that was a good punt. He was able to turn it over and put Lufkin back pretty good ways in their territory. Much better effort than the first time around.
2:34 remaining here in the first. Thanks for joining us for this scrimmage, our opening broadcast of the season. Looking forward to Nederland coming up next week to get the season underway. We'll have that game right here on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network, as well as 101.7 KSAM, your hometown radio station. All this powered by SHN Sports platform. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with the latest here in Huntsville Nation. Lufkin has the ball again tonight, now trailing 7-0, 2:34 remaining. They'll have it starting on their own 30, it looks like, from here. Now they've got it on the 31. Resting on the right hash mark, 2 receivers up top to the left, 2 down to the right. Quarterback now in shotgun, no longer under center. Maybe a different quarterback out there. Handoff over to the right side. The Hornets swarming inside and stops him right at the 30. There, you talked about it moments ago, Brian, that swarming defense of Hornet Nation taking care of business on that opening play.
And that, again, that's big Ed Bobino in on the stop, and along with all his teammates. And that's something that Huntsville has been famous for, is the swarm. And, Huntsville's running, if you look, you see, well, the previous play they were in a cover 2. So you had 2 defensive backs on the hash marks. Now they're in a cover 1, which is going to be man. And the Huntsville defense is all over Lufkin.
Stepping back here, good protection. Airs this one out to the right side over the left shoulder, and it is caught near the 30-yard line. Oh, man, what a beautiful pass there moments ago by the Panthers. And an even more spectacular catch. That's the way to lead them, and just the way it goes here. Now in Huntsville territory, resting at the 29, Brian.
Well, that's one of the things the defensive backs for Huntsville need to be cautious of. That's 3 times that they've gotten the wide receiver has ran past them. So they're going to have to really work on that.
1:37 remaining here in the first. Panthers trailing 7-0. They've got the ball, though, now, and Hornet territory on the 29. Ball resting on the right hash mark. Quarterback in shotgun. 2 receivers to the left. Handoff over to the left side. Running across the 30. Trying to break through defenders and slam down to the turf. There by that swarm defense. Only a pickup of a few. It'll bring up 2nd down and long.
Well, that was just a great play by the defensive, actually the linebackers for Huntsville. The running back for Lufkin was trying to turn the corner, and the linebackers for Huntsville wouldn't allow that to happen, so he got some help and shut Lufkin down.
Call it 2 yards on that first down attempt. 2nd down and 8, just at 50 seconds. Clock running. Ball now on the left hash mark. Panthers trailing 7-0. Under center this time. Fake the handoff to the left, rolls to the right, throws this one over his right shoulder, and it is caught at the 21-yard line. That's short of a first down. They had to get up to the 19. On the 21 will put them 2 yards at short, brings up 3rd down and short here for the Panthers.
Well, what a great play there by Lufkin, and great catch by their wideout. I mean, that was a sprint out pass, and it was thrown a little bit short, and the wideout for Lufkin was able to pick it up off the turf.
It's 3rd down and a short 2 with 19 seconds. We'll see if the Panthers want to get one more off before this first quarter of scrimmage is over. Standing in shotgun. Ball resting on the Hornet 21. On the right hash mark, quarterback now back under center. In an eye behind him, handoff over the left side. Bounces through defenders. May have an opportunity. Does pick up the first down, crossing the 15, and finally angling his way across the 11-yard line. And the whistle will blow, and that'll be the end of the first quarter. Hornets lead 7-0. Here on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network, we're just underway with the scrimmage and excited to bring it to you. Josh, pretty good first quarter of action here as these players out there now playing in a time situation. And we will actually step aside just for a few moments when we come back. Second quarter action. This is the Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. All right, friends, welcome back. Second quarter action about to get underway here in just a few moments as Huntsville leading this contest 7-0 in this scrimmage. Been a fun one so far. Seen a lot of big plays here. Before we started the quarter time, saw a lot of big plays as well. And can't wait to be back at Bowers to open up the season officially next week versus Nederland. We'll go live 7 o'clock on 101.7 KSAM, and we'll have the video, of course, here. Lufkin with an opportunity to try to get into the end zone for the first time tonight on a 1st down and 10. Got the ball, sweep over to the left side. Going through 3 defenders, still on his feet, and grazing his way in for a touchdown. The Panthers, 7-6.
Well, Lufkin has had success running that sweep.
Run by number 2, Caleb Berry for Lufkin.
And an opportunity here to tie it up. Lufkin trying to tie this, trailing 7-6. Here in the second quarter, just underway. I'm not sure if we'll try to bring Josh back on down there here in just a moment. Josh, can you hear us down there? Is the extra point kick up and good? We've got a tie ball game. Can you hear us down there, Josh?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and
Gotcha.
clear.
Cool. Well, hey, we talked about that first quarter. I saw a lot of big plays, and then right out of the gate here, Lufkin able to tie things up. Your takeaways in that burst there, Josh?
Yeah, I think all in all a very impressive first quarter from Huntsville. I mean, we saw them just give up the touchdown just here to start the second off, but midway through that first quarter, Lufkin had driven down the field and got it close to the red zone, and then Huntsville gets that turnover on downs, which was sealed by none other than Ed Bobino coming through with yet, I think it has to be his 3rd or 4th tackle for loss of the night. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but this Hornet defense is just swarming all over. And then on offense, we've seen the big plays. Haven't seen a ton of them since that first one where AJ tossed that 75-yard touchdown pass on the first play of the live clock portion. But they're headed back on the field now, so we'll see what they do.
Just underway, 5 seconds gone just underway here in the second quarter. Huntsville and Lufkin all knotted up at 7 apiece. The Hornets will have it from their own 30. Fake handoff, pass over the flat to the right side. As the receiver trying to break through a defender, not able to get there, and eventually pushed out of bounds. And we'll see if he picks up maybe one on the player, got back to the original line there.
You know, it's not a bad play there by the Hornets. You know, again, that was a pass just out in the flats, and, you know, their timing was good. The defense for Lufkin did a good job in stopping it, but not a bad way to start set of downs.
Yeah, Brian, I don't think they gave him a yard. It's back to the original line of scrimmage, brings up second down and 10, and with 11:48 remaining here in the second quarter. And the whistles will blow here, and a timeout possibly called. We'll see what the officials are going to discuss. Maybe a little official timeout here for just a moment. You know, a scrimmage for the officials as well, Brian. We all have to have that scrimmage to get things flowing here to start the season.
Well, again, you think about it. This season's starting a month late.
Yeah.
And with the summer workouts, you know, these teams got to start workouts, and then they had to stop workouts and then come back. So, yeah, it's first for everybody tonight.
Whistle blows, back in action, 2nd and 10. And the quarterback keeper here spinning around a defender to the right side, trying to cross the 40 and angling his way out of bounds at the 39. A great run. It'll be just 1 yard short of the first down. Had to get to the 40, got to the 39.
What a great spin move there by A.J. Wilson. Again, we've talked about it all night long, and his legs are getting him out of trouble. And they did right there. And I think they're just a few yards shy of they're going to give him the first.
Wow. From up here, I'm not going to complain about it.
Nope,
From up here, it looked
all.
like he was at the 39.
It did.
They'll give him the scrimmage extra yard to give him the first down. Good job there, run on by A.J. Wilson. And that's the athleticism you talked about, his ability to spin around, to break free, Brian. He does it time and time again. We saw flashes of it in those 2 games last year where he went 2-0, and now here tonight picking up where he left off.
Well, and he understood where the first down marker was. So, I mean, he got to that point, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Here, though, that may be a delay of game, and they will call it a delay of game. So, you know, this is good, Brian. This is really good because you get into rhythm, and you sometimes forget about what's actually happening down there. And that delay of game, you kind of need that here in a scrimmage to really get you to understand. You've got to move. You've got to get going. Brings up first down and 15. And this time the Panther defense able to corral Huntsville there at the 31. A loss on that play, a big loss at that.
Well, you got to give credit to the defensive line there for Lufkin. They penetrated and were able to stop the runner well behind the line of scrimmage.
Bring up second down and 19 for your Hornets. 10:42 clock running here in the second quarter. Underway in this scrimmage. We are live from Lufkin, Texas. Thanks for joining us on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network.
Well, I venture to guess 2nd and long, we may see a big play attempt here by A.J. Wilson.
2 receivers down to the right, 2 Hornets up top, and now a man in motion to make it 3. In the flats he'll run, pass over, and this one partially tipped near the line as it falls incomplete, brings up 3rd down and 19.
Well, I'm not real sure what he saw right there. The slot receiver there for Huntsville just kind of did a 2 to 3 yard over the middle route, and it looked like he was in between receivers, between the slot and the outside receiver. Kind of threw it in between, looked like.
Clock stopped there on the incomplete, 10:21 to go. Thanks for joining us tonight. Rob Hipp alongside Brian Adams. It is our privilege to be back here with the Hornet football this season. A.J. will clap once, rolls over to the left side. Good protection, throws this one, but well out of the reach of his intended receiver. It's incomplete on the left side at the 45.
Well, that is one of the most difficult passes to complete right there. And so if you're a right-handed quarterback and you're rolling out to your left, you're having to throw the ball across your body to a wide receiver going away from you. Very difficult. And it looks like the Hornets are going to have to punt the ball away.
And they'll punt it away for the 3rd time tonight. Looks like their first 2 punts maybe around the 40-yard range. So we'll kind of see if that's where the range is shaping up this season here for special teams for the Hornets. As they will punt this one again, 4th and 19. The ball is on their own 31, moving from left to right. 10:15 to go here in the second quarter. We're all knotted up at 7 apiece. Panthers set back to receive at their 35. That punt, boy, almost had a hand in the way. Nice,
great
booming,
punt.
spiraling punt. It will drop at the 28, and they'll mark it down right there at the 29. So the Lufkin Panthers will have the ball back. One of the top teams here in 5A in the state of Texas, and we'll see if they can do it again, do it again here, Brian. You know, just moments ago, able to drive the ball down, score that touchdown to start the second quarter to tie things up.
Well, you know, this is Lufkin had a little taste of the end zone, so they got their confidence back, and they're going to do everything they can to try and take a lead here. But what a great punt there by the Huntsville Hornet punter. I mean, he was able to put a nice spiral, turn it over, and got it out of bounds, so there was no way they could get a return on it.
Lufkin will have it here. The ball resting on their own 29-yard line. Quarterback in shotgun, two receivers to the right, one lone Panther to the left. That ball will go to the lone Panther to the left and thrown and immediately going out of bounds. Good defense there, chasing the receiver down, but that may be enough for a first down. We'll see. Maybe a yard short, actually, Brian. Had to get to the 39, got it to the 38.
Well, still, that was a great play there by Lufkin. That was all about timing. So before the wide receiver turns around, the quarterback has already thrown the football, and that is so tough to defend.
Ball resting on the left hash mark. Second down and a short one for the Panthers with 10:02 remaining here, tied up at 7 apiece. Delayed handoff to the back, and he's stopped in the backfield. A loss of 1 on the play. The Hornet swarm coming alive here in this second quarter for Hornet Nation.
Boy, that was a big play there by the Hornet defense. I mean, stuff the runner. You're talking 3rd and 1. And it looks like they dropped him for a loss of 1.
That'll move the ball back. The official up here showing it was a loss of 1, so that'll take us to 3rd down and 2. So a big defensive opportunity here for Huntsville. See where they're going here early on in this season. Just as scrimmage underway, second quarter tied 7-7, 9:23 remaining. Lufkin with the ball. Quarterback under center, look for the handoff. No, they're going to pass here, Brian. Being chased down. One defender falls for the Hornets. And now darting this one over, and somehow it is caught. Oh, man, you talk about a quarterback who was able to hold on, avoid a potential sack, and then somehow able to deliver that ball right to his receiver there in Hornet territory.
Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier tonight. Anytime you have a quarterback that has has speed and has the athleticism that these two have, he rolled out. He created a problem for the defensive secondary. They lost track of the wide out. He scrambled around, found him wide open. First down, Lufkin.
Beg your pardon. It was not into Hornet territory, but still enough for a first down. Ball resting for Lufkin on their own 48-yard line. First down and 10, tied with 8:40 remaining. Handoff here, and the Hornets say, nope, you're not going to buzz past us on this one. Back to the original line of scrimmage. Brings up second down and 10.
Well, it takes so much discipline by your secondary when the quarterback is scrambling around to stay with your defender and not take your eyes off of him, and that's something that they'll get better at as the season progresses.
Josh Criswell down on the sideline with us. We'll check in with him here in just a little bit. Again, 8:13, clock now running in the second quarter, tied 7-7. Lufkin with the ball here on their home field, this beautiful John Outlaw Memorial Field. On the left hash, two receivers to the right, one Panther all by himself to the left. Quarterback under center. Gets a low snap, passes over, and it is caught at the 40 and immediately brought down, but that's another Panther first down. The chains move again.
Well, great route run by Lufkin there. It was just a simple comeback. He knew where the chains were. He went beyond the chains, turned around, came back to the football. Caught it, first down to Lufkin.
Well, the Hornets came out first play in the first quarter, able to score a touchdown right out of the gates. Since then, though, it has been a little bit of a struggle here. The defense starting to really see the physicality of this Lufkin Panther team as the Panthers have it. First down and 10 on the Hornet 37. Rolling to the right. Again, slings this one over his right shoulder. And that ball is caught. Oh, man.
Wow.
You talk about a Hornet player that played smackdown.
Wow.
And he was still able to hold on to that ball near the 15-yard line inside the red zone. Oh, mama.
Yeah, what great concentration there. He got hammered by the Hornet defender and was able to hang on to the football. And if you think about what's going on right now in the second quarter of the scrimmage, Rob, is the time of possession. Lufkin has had 2 times the possession that the Hornets have had, and they're steadily marching down the field.
Well, that's one of those coming up next week where you're going to see some of that stuff on replay, which is going to be really sweet. Brings up first down and 10 in the red zone on the 15. The Panthers with it. Quarterback steps back, slings it again. Brian, I keep talking about the arm of this young man. He is slinging these passes. It was caught. Not much there on it, though. Maybe back to the original line. But you've just, as a Lufkin fan, I know we broadcast for Huntsville, but we want to give other kids credit, too. And this young man is just zipping these right out of his right arm.
Well, you just like to see talent. And these guys – whatever side they're on, when they do good, you want to acknowledge it. And you got two quarterbacks, A.J. Wilson and this young quarterback for Lufkin. These two kids are talented.
Under center, 2nd and 10. No gain on the play. This time a handoff over and trying to dart through several Hornets, busting his way and gutting up to around the 13-yard line. So a gain of 2 or 3 on that play will bring up 3rd down and long.
Well, this is a pretty good test for this very tough Huntsville defense. They've been in the red zone trying to defend against Lufkin multiple times here already this evening. So this is a good test early in the year.
We'll bring up 3rd down and 7 for the Panthers of Lufkin here on their home field. 5:38 remaining. We are tied at 7 apiece. Thanks for joining us on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. As the Panthers under center. Pretty spread offense here with 2 receivers spread way apart on that left side. And quarterback will try to roll, backpedaling his way to the 30, chased by a Hornet. Almost tackled and delivers this ball. And the pressure brought in the backfield. Brian, he could not put enough oomph behind it, and that falls incomplete. Brings up 4th down. That's a great stand on 3rd down and 7.
What a great job there by Huntsville. And to keep Lufkin from one moving the ball or actually putting it in the end zone, they were able – their angle of attack there was terrific for Huntsville.
A good stop here and an opportunity for Lufkin as they're going to go for a field goal here, Brian. We will call it, where are we looking at, about 29 yards.
Well, again, this is another aspect. We are in a scrimmage game, and the coaches want to see.
Well, now another delay of game, and that's the first one we've seen for Lufkin here tonight in the scrimmage.
Yep. Well, like you said earlier, these kids got to keep an eye on that clock. That play clock runs out, and, that's just really a mental mistake. And, again, we're early in the season, early in the year. You get rid of all these mental mistakes, or you're ready when the season starts.
That'll bump it back. The field goal here, 5 yards back now. And we'll call it about a 34. Mishandled snap. And trying to throw this one down the field, trying to make something out of nothing. And, boy, you talk about it again. Now special teams for the Hornets picking it up. So, once again, the Lufkin Panthers drive this ball here in this scrimmage in the second quarter. They get in the red zone, and the Hornets able to put a stop to it, really bringing out the nest here in the second quarter. We are tied at 7 apiece. Brian, we'll keep it right here.
Well, the Hornets, they're very tough defense. They bend, but they didn't break, and that's a couple of times to keep this score knotted up at 7. What a great defensive stand there by the Hornets.
Josh Criswell down on the sidelines. Josh, we just talked about it moments ago. Another opportunity here for Lufkin in the red zone, but the Hornets able to hold them, Josh.
Yeah, you love to see it. That's that bend that but don't break defense that every team loves to have. Giving up the yards early on, but whenever it gets into crunch time in the red zone, they're 2 for 2 right now for shutting them down on 4th down. So love what you see from the Huntsville defense early. And, as I feel like we've said a million times, and I'm sure we'll say a couple million times more this season, it's that pressure from that Huntsville defensive line that's just making life misery for that Lufkin offense.
5:07 to go here in the second quarter in this scrimmage. 1st and 10 for the Hornets, and maybe a little bit too much wiggle there, and that may be a false start against the Hornets. It is. It'll set them back 5. And that's, Brian, to be honest, that's the first false start that we've seen here in this ball game. So far, the offensive line, they've been pretty disciplined. That's the first time they've flinched here tonight.
Well, and again, a month delayed, first scrimmage of the year, and it's been a relatively clean ball game.
Set them back 5, 1st down and 15 for the Hornets. So Wilson will roll to the right, and now he slings the ball to the 25. It's caught short of the 1st down. But needless to say, we're seeing it now on both sides of the field. These quarterbacks tonight have been fun to watch here early.
My goodness, you see the cannon on A.J. Wilson. He rolls out to his right, throws a dart on the run. What a great pass.
He threw that ball 14 yards. Is he going to get another scrimmage 1st down? He did, Brian. They gave it to him again. So we'll call it a scrimmage first down here. Another 1st down here for Huntsville. They've got the ball on the right hash mark. We are tied 7 apiece, 4:34 remaining here in the first half of play. Thanks for joining us live from Lufkin, Texas tonight. Wilson, high snap, able to grab it with his right arm, rolls to the left, airs this one out to the right side, and that's going to be pass interference. He threw it down. It was incomplete near the 30, but my goodness, Lufkin was draped all over that receiver, and they are going to call that one pass interference, Brian.
Well, there you go. He was all over the Hornet wideout. A.J. Wilson rolls to his left. Again, a very difficult pass, but it threw an absolute rope. And Lufkin is flagged for interference. Big play for Huntsville.
It's one of those plays where Huntsville receiver was trying to turn around and grab that ball, and you just can't. You've got to turn around and try to make a play on the ball if you're a defender, and you didn't, and that's where you're going to get the pass interference. Well, again, those that are just joining us tonight, of course, next week we start season play, Nederland, 7 p.m., right here on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. You can hear it also on 101.7 KSAM, your hometown radio station. Brian, we'll have the rosters next week. That'll be fun.
That will be fun.
They tell you not to call a game if you don't have names and numbers, but that's just how it is here on these scrimmages. And we got a false start here again, the second time on this series for Huntsville, and that'll move them back 5 yards. And it'll bring up second down and a long 15 back in their own territory.
Well, one of the most frustrating things for coaches is after you have a big play, then you have kind of a mental mistake of a false start or an offsides or something to that effect to push your team back 5 yards. Coaches, that drives them nuts.
Second down and 15 for the Hornets in between the hash marks. Tied 7-7, 4:18 to go. Wilson drops this one out on the right side. His receiver has it, and he is leveled at the 45, but that's enough for a Huntsville Hornet first down.
Well, Coach Southern talked about the Huntsville speed. He was hoping to kind of keep it a secret, but I think the secret is out. You just saw that wide out for Huntsville hit a second gear, pick up that first down. Great play.
A little bit of an overdrive run there. Brings it into Panther territory. The ball on the 43-yard line. Wilson again here, a little pass over to the left side as his receiver trying to find that out-of-bounds line. He was ankle tackled just shy of the 40, or just outside the 40 at the 41. It'll bring up second down and long for the Huntsville Hornets.
Well, the Huntsville Hornets are having a very good possession here. They're moving the football. They're having some big plays. A little bit of help there from Lufkin on the pass interference call. Overall, Huntsville's looking good on this drive.
We'll call it 2nd and 8 from up here. High snap. This one goes well over A.J.'s head. He'll have to track it down at the 30 and just throws this one away out of bounds.
Wow. What a heads-up play by A.J. Wilson. And anytime you as a quarterback get a snap over your head like that, it just seems like all chaos happens. But he was able to scoop it up, throw it out of bounds, no harm, no foul.
And now, Brian, one thing I noticed on that pass, he was throwing on the run off of his back foot, and I think that thing sailed at least 40 yards in the air.
Oh, that's amazing, Josh. And especially when you're going when you're going across your body, what a difficult pass to attempt.
3:25 going, clock stopped here in the second. We are tied at 7 apiece here in Lufkin, Texas. Huntsville versus Lufkin, and was that another delay of game, Brian? I think it was, and if so, that is the third or the second time now for the Hornets that we have seen that tonight.
Well, that's certainly something that Coach Southern and his staff is going to work on. They're going to watch the film of this scrimmage tomorrow, and they'll fix all these mental mistakes.
I'll actually call it 3rd down and 14. A.J. had good protection, but it's breaking down. Now has to throw this one up too high, and it's incomplete at the 35-yard line. He was looking for his intended receiver there on that left side, and brings up 4th down and long. So, Brian, both of these teams tonight have been able to move the ball at times, but then these drives just stall, and that's why we sit at 7 apiece here.
Yeah, I think right there on that pass play, I think A.J. was caught in between whether he was going to run the football or he was going to pass the ball. And anytime you have indecision as a quarterback, the potential for error is tremendous. And he sailed that one over the wideout's head. Either tuck it and run, or pull up, keep your composure, and throw the ball.
Here on 4th and 14, the Hornets going to go for it. Wilson has defenders all in his face. He's able to unload this pass, but it is going to be for a huge loss back to the 50-yard line or so, and that's a turnover on down. So, of course, in these scrimmages, when you got a 4th and 14, you're going to see them go for it sometimes where they're at on that part of the field, and it'll bring up 1st down and 10. We are tied 7 apiece here in the second quarter. 3:09 remaining. We'll step aside for a brief moment. This is Huntsville Hornet football on the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. And actually, Brian, we are going to keep it here. They're just going to rock and roll with this quickly. I thought they were going to take a little bit of time, but We'll keep it right here, Brian.
Well, one of the things you've come to know with Coach Southern, if it's fourth down, and he's not shy to go for it, whether it's a scrimmage or a playoff game. You know, he believes in his offense, and he's not shy about going for it on fourth down.
Lufkin will start it with excellent field position on the Hornet 47. And this one knocked up into the air. It was almost an opportunity to get intercepted there. And a good right arm coming up from Huntsville defender to knock that one up into the air. Falls incomplete, brings up 2nd down and 10.
Well, anytime you have two good teams like this, Rob, you have Lufkin, who is, again, a perennial powerhouse, Huntsville, a perennial powerhouse. Their defense is really the thing that stands out in the beginning, and you're seeing it tonight. You know, both teams have punched it in for a touchdown, but these defenses are really stepping up and playing some good football tonight.
Quarterback in shotgun, 2 receivers to the left, 2 up top to the right for the Panthers. Pump fake once, now throws, darts this one across the 40 and immediately brought down short of the first down marker by about 2 yards at the 40-yard line. Well, at least that's one thing that we've seen. We've seen a couple of big breakaway plays tonight, Brian, but the big thing is when they get some passes, that Hornet swarm is right there to meet them, and, boy, give them a good hit.
Yeah, no question about it. And, you know, Lufkin has had success on these timing patterns, and that's kind of what Huntsville needs to work on. It's a very difficult play to defend, and then Huntsville, of course, swarming defense, doing a good job.
Yeah, they're showing a little bit of a blitz here on a 3rd down and 2. Lufkin has it. Snap back, blitzing in. Pass over right side. This one is intercepted at the 10-yard line by the Hornets. You bring the blitz up front, Brian. That forces the quarterback into a situation. He unloads it, and that time the one indiscreet pass that we've seen so far from the Lufkin quarterback, and it results in the first turnover of the night going to the Huntsville Hornets.
Well, Huntsville's defense, give them all the credit in the world for that. Like you said, if you rush the quarterback like that, get in his face, he has to throw the football before he is ready, and typically bad things happen, and it did right there. Great play, Huntsville Hornets.
2:20 to go here in the 2nd quarter on this scrimmage night in Lufkin, Texas at John Outlaw Memorial Field. We are tied at 7 apiece. I'm Rob Hipp alongside Brian Adams, Josh Criswell down on the field as well, and our entire Hornet Nation broadcast crew bringing you video tonight, starting next week, video along with the audio on 101.7 KSAM, your hometown radio station. The Hornets have it. A.J. Wilson in the gun, stands on his own 8, and a flag flies here. And whistle blows as it was a handoff over to the left side, enough for a first down, but Brian, this one may be coming back.
Yeah, I believe there's maybe a holding involved on this one.
Now, we'll see. They let him run the play, and I'm wondering if there was maybe even an offside. Josh, what did you see down there?
You know, I wasn't 100% too sure on that one. It came out pretty quick, so looking like it looks like it's going to be on the offense, moving back 5 yards.
Yeah, it's a false start there by Huntsville.
It was a false start. A lot of times you'll just see him whistle it dead. They let him play through that one, which
Exactly.
I thought was a little bit weird there, and that's the way it goes sometimes. That'll set him back even far, half the distance to the goal. It'll be first down here for the Hornets now on the 4-yard line. They've got to go about 14 yards. Wilson airs this one to the left side, has his receiver. It's caught at the 50 and out of bounds. Oh, mama, what a play by A.J. Wilson. You see the arm on him. We've talked about it tonight, Brian, as he steps back, able to air that one all the way down the field, caught, and it's a huge pickup for the Huntsville Hornets, coming alive here in the 2nd quarter.
Boy, what great composure by A.J. Wilson. He's got the ball on the 8-yard line, throws it from the end zone. A perfect pass, huge play, first down Huntsville.
This time trips to the right, pass over, a receiver wide open again, this time on the right side, and slammed out of bounds at the 23.
Well, what a turn of events here. 2 giant pass plays, and Huntsville is in the they're short of the red zone. But 2 big pass plays there by Huntsville.
1:47 remaining here in the first half of play in the scrimmage. It's tied up 7 apiece. The Hornets with the ball and driving. They started this possession on their own 8-yard line. It's A.J. Wilson at the helm in the gun. Trips to the left. 1 receiver lone to the right. Passes in the flats to a receiver in motion across the 20, darting through defenders. And he'll have a healthy gain on first down, maybe 6 on the play. Huntsville on the move, Brian.
Well, that was a great play out in the flats. He picked up a nice block from his wide receiver cohort and was able to pick up big yards on that play, just shy of the first down.
Give him 6 yards, brings up 2nd down and a manageable 4 from the 17-yard line in the red zone. Hornets have it, Wilson in the gun. Receiver in motion from left to right. Instead, handoff on a draw play. This time, not much on it across the 15.
You know, we talk about the offensive line for Huntsville and kind of wondering because they were kind of decimated with graduation last year. But tonight, in this first scrimmage of the year, Rob, they have really done a great job giving A.J. Wilson plenty of time to look downfield and find an open receiver.
Here it goes, Brian, a third down and short one. We've seen it tonight in the red zone from the 14-yard line. Low snap. Wilson will keep it. Rolls to the right. Good protection. Dagger over, down, sliding, diving. As it caught, it's incomplete in the end zone. It was a good look there to his receiver in the end zone, diving down, but the ball hit the turf just before it got into his hands. That's a tough break there because, Brian, we were just saying a while ago, every time there's a lot of momentum, a lot of driving, and then you get down to that red zone and the drives seem to stall.
Well, when you get down to that red zone, the field shrinks, and when you got two defenses like we have playing here tonight, it is awful difficult to punch in the end zone. But, the Huntsville, again, this is a scrimmage game. They're going to get a chance to look at their field goal kicking unit and see if they can put 3 points on the board.
31-yard field goal held. This one partially blocked. It's no good. And they're going to whistle it dead. They're not going to let him pick it up and run. And we remain tied, Brian, 7 apiece, 33 seconds remaining here in Lufkin, Texas in the second half. Josh Criswell down on the sidelines with us here tonight. And Josh, once again, Huntsville makes a run. They get inside the red zone, but they're not able to capitalize.
No, not able to finish off the drive, but you have to like what you see there. I mean, you're in a situation where they're in that 2-minute offense, and you were backed up all the way inside your own 10-yard line. And what happens? Your new quarterback, A.J. Wilson, fires back-to-back gems to turn what looks like a kind of shaky possession into one that immediately gets you into scoring position. So obviously didn't finish things off. This time of year, special teams is definitely one of those areas where kinks are being worked out, probably, as much, if not more than anywhere. So wouldn't read too much into that block field goal. I'd focus more on the positivity of what they were able to accomplish in, about a minute on that drive.
Absolutely great observation, Josh. Thanks for being down there. First down and 10 from the 24. The Lufkin Panthers tied 7 apiece. They've got the ball moving from right to left. High snap. Quarterback chased down. He's dragged down and sacked in the back at the 6-yard line. Oh, baby, what a play by the Hornets.
Well, I tell you what a great play there by the Hornet linebacker going there and was able to hang on and finish the sack and put Lufkin way back in their own territory.
Brian, a 12-yard loss on the play, it looks like from here. Second down and long here on a draw play to the right side and trying to get back to the original line of scrimmage. It's resting at about the 20, and looks like the running back there went out of bounds at the 19.
Well, again, we've got two defenses tonight that are just playing just some unbelievable football. You wouldn't think this is the very first scrimmage of the year, the way these two teams are playing. We just got a great couple of quarters of football in.
Third down, it looks like about from here, 13 yards, Brian. That's what I would call it. I'll put my money on that one, Brian. 3rd and 13 from our look up here for Lufkin. Tied up, 3 seconds remaining here in the first half. They've got the ball on their own 17-yard line, resting on the right hash. In the gun, handoff, draw play again, and again. The Hornets able to read that one up to the original line of scrimmage, and that'll whistle it dead here. And I'm not sure if we'll go for a third quarter. Everybody looks like they're going to stick around. Josh, your thoughts down there. Have you heard anything about it?
Haven't heard anything yet. I think last year we ended this. It looks like they're going to PA.
Final score, Lufkin 7 and Huntsville 7.
Well, that is your ball game here, 7-7. A lot of positive takeaways in this one. We're going to step aside and take a brief break. When we come back, we'll have post-game analysis. Josh, if you're able to, maybe if we can get a word with possibly one of the players. I'm not sure if we can get A.J. Wilson down there and maybe head coach Rodney Southern. Coach Southern making his way there to his team. He's huddling them up, and also, if we can get our camera down there inside that huddle, we'll do that as well. We're not going to pull the audio, though, from that. That is a time with the coach and his kids, but we will at least get the video. And we will step aside. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, post-game discussion and more here in this scrimmage. This is the all-new Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. We'll be right back here in just a few moments. Stay with us, friends. Welcome back, friends, to the Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. I'm Rob Hipp alongside Brian Adams. And, Brian, great to be back up here in the booth. I know I'm going to toss it back over real quick to Coach Southern there, Nathan, just for a few moments. And we're going to try to get that interview here in just a few moments with Coach Rodney Southern. Josh, if you can get him down there, I'm not sure where Coach is at, but we'll try to have that here in just a few moments. And Josh, do you have us down there? Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I'm right
go.
here with Coach Southern right now. We're about to get rolling.
Awesome. We'll send it down now. Josh Criswell with head coach Rodney Southern. Josh, take it away.
All right, so Coach Southern, another scrimmage against Lufkin always seems like a really good competition for y'all to gear up for the regular season. First things first, what were your overall thoughts on the way the team performed tonight?
Well, I thought the first couple series we were a little bit nervous, but, those 11 guys had not started a varsity football game at any level, so I thought they were a little nervous, but I think as we got going, and then obviously in the live quarter, I thought we played really well.
Ryan, you talk about those guys that have never played a game at the varsity level before. Y'all do this scrimmage every year against Lufkin, who's one of the top powers in 5A D1. For those guys who haven't played at the varsity level, how important is a night like tonight for them to kind of get their feet under them for whenever they see tough competition against teams like A&M Consolidated and also in the playoffs?
Well, I think it kind of gears us toward, what you need to do your first game, which is, almost like a scrimmage because you really don't know. We're going to have one film on Nederland this year, so we were not going to know a whole lot. But, we had 3 or 4 sophomores out there tonight. We've got 3 guys right now that didn't scrimmage tonight at all. So when we get all those guys back, I think we're going to be where we need to be. But for those young guys that have never had experience, to play a team like this and obviously have a chance right there at the end, if we are solid inside, we probably make that field goal. But again, this is why we scrimmage them, and I hope now it's why they want to scrimmage us because I think both of us get better.
Right, and obviously one of the big takeaways that everyone immediately notices is the play of A.J. Wilson at quarterback tonight. In my opinion, the first really, I guess what you would say, almost potentially great defense, tonight against Lufkin. Had 2 75-yard touchdown passes and I think 4 or 5 other balls over 30 yards. What was just your thoughts on the way he was able to not only extend plays with his legs, but also, extend those plays and then look down the field to hit those deep balls?
Well, I think, the experience he got last year, even though it was a couple games, it obviously helps when you come into this situation. But, for most of these guys, they hadn't played football since December of last year. So, AJ's going to do things athletically because he's athletic, but he's also does a really good job of taking coaching and understanding what to do. And he made a couple mistakes tonight, but that's expected. And extending plays, but he's smart enough to know keep your eyes downfield because we've got some guys that can run, and and they both got behind Lufkin at a couple times and ended up being big plays. But I think hopefully he'll do that all year long.
Right, and then obviously the defensive line was kind of making a living in the backfield as they tend to do. That group's obviously going to be key for y'all this season, but how much optimism does a performance against the team like Lufkin for them, give you moving into the season?
Well, the big thing is, I think they were trying to establish some of their base run game tonight, and for us to be able to hold that, for the most part, in check is good, obviously, going in because, we're fixing to see a really good 5A team and then 3 6A teams in a row. So, we're going to have to stop the run. So, but we expect that from those 7 or 8 guys we're going to roll in there in the D-line. They got to play like that.
Right, and then, we talked about how the secondary is probably that area on defense where you have the least experience on the roster at the moment. And, had a couple of mishaps there, but also had a couple of big plays. I think 2 interceptions and a few more, big pass breakups. One of those interceptions by Ethan Miner, a guy you've talked really highly about this offseason. What were your thoughts on just the way the secondary played tonight?
Well, the big thing is that's an area where we had 3 guys that, we got 3 guys that didn't play tonight back there. And we also are going to play a couple of our offensive guys back there a little bit, but we didn't want to extend that too much. So I think overall for the 4 guys back there that, they have no varsity experience at all, including Ethan. And I think Ethan was kind of not trusting some technique early, but obviously came back and made 2 big plays. And, they'll get better. And then when we get our other guys back, hopefully that area becomes an area of strength again.
All right, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll see you out there next week against Nederland.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and I think we're going to be joined now by Huntsville quarterback A.J. Wilson as well. AJ, congratulations. First game, I guess, is the full-time varsity starter. Not a game, but a scrimmage, but had a couple of big 75-yard touchdown passes. I know a lot of these receivers you've been throwing to since middle school. How comfortable do you feel throwing the ball around to this group of guys?
I feel very comfortable throwing the ball to them. Very.
For you got to use your plays, get out there, use your athleticism a little bit. How good did it feel? I feel like this is probably the toughest defense you've ever faced before at the varsity level. How much confidence does that give you moving forward?
A lot of confidence.
All right, AJ, well, just one last question for you. Got that big season opener coming up next week. What's the thing you're most excited for about this team this season?
We got a pretty good young team. We can finally play football.
Hey,
we can go far.
Josh, I got one question for AJ. We always ask the students this. Tell them 1 minute. Say, who do you want to give a shout-out to tonight, young man?
All right. Hey, so AJ, we got one question from upstairs for Rob. We do this every time. Who's one person that you want to give a shout-out to, that might be listening?
My mom.
All right.
Love you, Mama.
Said he loves you, Mama.
Awesome, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it, AJ. We'll see you out there next week. I think coming up next we got, is that Ed Bobino?
Oh, we got another player. Awesome. Okay, We'll keep them coming tonight. Great job down there.
All right, so Ed, first time getting out here and playing against a real team, besides beating up on each other, how did it feel to go out there and not just play another opponent, but for y'all, that defensive line, y'all were living in the backfield all night long.
Yes, sir. I think we just had to come out and play with a different intensity. We practiced hard, so coming in, playing full speed, this scrimmage, it was easy. You practice how you play, and it really showed tonight.
Right, a lot of new pieces kind of all over the board, but the defensive line, you bring back, 4 key guys up front that are going to be starting for y'all. How exciting is that to know that you have guys there where, not only have y'all played before, but y'all have this opportunity to really kind of lead the charge on defense? How let me rephrase that for you. How excited are you, about the opportunity to really, kind of be spotlighted on the D-line, knowing that your team's going to be counting on you?
I think the D-line is not spotlighted because the guys behind us do so well with giving us so much time to get to the quarterback. So I think the D-line gets credit for it, but those guys behind us play hard every play.
You talk about those guys behind you, a lot of new faces in that secondary. I don't know if any of them had started, a game at the varsity level before, but really big plays, 2 interceptions and 3 or 4 pass breakups. How impressed were you, with the small guys behind you making those plays?
Going in tonight, it was a lot of questions because some guys, this was their first time getting a varsity snap. So I think those guys, they answered a lot of questions that even the players and the coaches had. So I'm really excited.
Season opener 1 week away against Nederland, 2020 season. What's the thing that Ed Bobino is most excited for?
Just the journey. Senior season, got to go hard every play. Can't take no plays off.
All right, last question for you. Rob's specialty every single time. Who's someone out there that's going to be listening to the broadcast that you'd like to give a personal shout-out to tonight?
I'd give a shout-out to my brother, Brian. I never tell him, but every play I'm competing with him. I always compete with myself, but to look right next to me and see my brother playing right next to me, that just pushed me a little bit harder every play. So I shout out Brian, shout out to my brother.
All right, well, we appreciate it, Ed, and we look forward to seeing the two of y'all living in the opponent's backfields all season long.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right, Rob, we'll send it back up to you.
All right, friends, welcome back here in post-game. Rob Hipp alongside Brian Adams. Brian, a great scrimmage here tonight. A lot of fun getting to see these kids. A little bit different of a broadcast for us because we didn't have a whole lot of information. Of course, next week we'll have it. But, Brian, your takeaways. We talked about the defense there and some of the break, and I really like what I saw out of A.J. Wilson, just how he was able to air out. We heard from Bobino and, of course, A.J. Wilson. These are two young men, but, tonight, a team effort. I really enjoyed watching that defense and their effort tonight, Brian.
Oh, the defense was outstanding tonight. And, when you have a good defense like the Hornets have, that's going to win you a lot of ball games. The offensive side, A.J. Wilson, he's a young guy. He's a junior. Played in 2 games last year to help the Hornets win, to help them get into the playoffs. But what really amazed me about him was his poise. He's got such poise of a veteran player and such great leadership skills. This team has a lot of team speed. Huntsville is going to be tough this year.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch them. We're going to bring you all the action all season long. You can catch up with it at 1017 KSAM. Of course, we'll have it at KSAM1017.com. And, Brian, also right here on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. We'll have video all season long. So make sure to keep up. And, Brian, looking forward, coming up, Nederland. Josh and I will talk about it on Huntsville Sports Weekly a little bit later this week. It's going to be a great contest here to start things at home, and it feels so good to say it, at Bowers.
At Bowers. Thank goodness we're a month late, but yet we're going to get it done. Next week is the opening game at Bowers, at home for Huntsville. It's exciting. I'm just glad to be a part of it.
And, Brian, I wanted to say, I had a lot of fun last year getting to work with you in our first season and just the professionalism that you bring. I couldn't do the broadcast without you, so looking forward to this one, to be up here in the Hornet broadcast booth with you. We're going to have a lot of fun this season, friend, and I want to go back again. I want to thank one more time the friends here that we've made in Lufkin. The folks here have been so hospitable. We appreciate them allowing us to be up here tonight, and just want to thank them again, and also the UIL for allowing us to do video here on Friday nights, especially when the season starts. So a big shout-out to those guys as well.
Yeah, no question about it. Lufkin has always been very generous to us and kind and helpful to us. And I love it because Coach Southern, head coach for Lufkin, they've been doing this scrimmage for the last several years. It's kind of become a really good rivalry. Two great teams. A lot of fun. I'm just excited that we're getting ready to kick it off next week.
Well, friends, on behalf of our entire Hornet Nation broadcast family, Brian Adams here, color commentary. Appreciate you. I'm Rob Hipp. A big thank you to Melton Green helping us as well with camera. We also want to thank TJ Garrett, who we heard from a little bit tonight, also down there on sideline camera. Nathan Height, Steve Ricks, our operations manager at KSAM, and, of course, Josh Criswell for his great reporting down on the sidelines. One final time, friends, I'm Rob Hipp here in this scrimmage. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. We go live next Friday from Bowers Stadium. Friends, as I end every single broadcast, reminding you tonight that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement and lend a hand of support. Somebody out there tonight needs you. Good night and God bless from Lufkin, Texas. We'll see you next Friday. Good night, everyone.